This is the Discover Card Countdown to Green as we get ready to go racing.
Today, a new story begins in the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series. The New Hampshire International Speedway is the place for the first race in the chase for the championship. A 4,093-mile journey, 10 men, 10 races, a 10-week test of grime and punishment that will produce one champion. Chapter 1 begins now. Ladies and gentlemen, the chase is on. They are NASCAR's first perfect 10. All have championship means. Some have championship genes. The time has come to make their case in a tense 10-race chase. The most cherished challenge in motorsports just got tougher. You've raced the rest. Now you must outrun the best. Only a few know how rewarding the result. Now some hope to follow the winning path paved by teammates, wanting to be the new man that makes the right call. It is a vast field of bright futures, of dark horses, and even one popular thoroughbred. 10 races, 10 drivers, 1 champion. Today, NASCAR takes the play out of playoff. TNT Sports presents the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series live from Loudon, New Hampshire. There are 43 drivers preparing for the 27th race of the season, but only 10 are eligible to win the championship. In their way, 10 races and 33 spoilers that have something to race for too. Pride, and the most precious prize in any race, the win. Hi everybody, the TNT Race family back with you on a Sunday afternoon. Welcome to New Hampshire, I'm Bill Weber. So what do you think's going to happen now? Do you soft shoe it and hope that consistency wins you the cup? Or do you drop the hammer, try and drive to the front and dust the competition long before we ever get to Homestead? Over the next 10 weeks, every point is priceless, but every mistake is magnified. From engine tuner to tire carrier, the pressure has never been greater. Qualifying on Friday, the practice sessions on Saturday rained out. This field was set by the NASCAR rulebook. That puts the guys in the chase up front in the race. Take a look at the championship standings heading into today's event in New Hampshire. For the 10 chasers, the points have been adjusted, trimming the distance from 1st to 10th to just 45 points. They've also been moved out of the mathematically probable reach of everyone else. Here are the Chicago Cubs of NEXTEL Cup. Wait till next year. At the end of the season, 11th place does pay just under $1 million and earns an on-stage appearance at the banquet. Let's start at the front, and here's Matt Yoakum.
In 3 of Jeff Gordon's championship seasons, he's won a race here at New Hampshire. Today he begins his drive for 5. 5 titles, Jeff. You're starting on the pole, but how does this race set the tone for the final 9?
Well, I think it's an important race, but, you know, 10 races is more races than what you really think. A lot can happen over that stretch, but it's a good track for us. You know, we've got fortunate with the weather. We're starting on the pole. We've got a great place to pit the car. So, you know, the DuPont Chevrolet team has been phenomenal this year. We want to keep that momentum, that chemistry going, and I think a good solid finish here today would definitely be the way we would like to get it started. I don't think we necessarily have to have a win, but you know, we're just going to see what kind of car we've got and try to lead as many laps and try to win that race if we can, and if not, just get the best finish we can.
His last win here on the Magic Mile took place back in 1998. He won that day starting from the pole. Today, Burns.
Matt, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen Dale Earnhardt Jr. having a lot of fun out there on the racetrack, knowing that his spot in the chase was clinched. Junior, I don't want to build any undue drama here, but this isn't a place that's been exactly kind to you. 1 top 5 and 10 starts. Is this a tough place to start the chase?
No, not really. I mean, we've ran good here. We've always kind of ran into some problems in the race, but over the broad scheme of all the races we've ran here, I've had a pretty good car just about every time. So the only thing I'm worried about is no practice and Just curious about my car. You know, we're going to have a competition yellow, which is going to help out a whole lot, and hopefully we can get the car dialed in.
Well, don't forget, in the last 5 races, this team has had a win and 2 additional top 5 finishes. They're on a roll. To Marty Snyder.
Dave, on one of the famous New Hampshire trolleys with Tony Stewart, who recently said something was missing in his team's program. They went to look for it in Milwaukee, trying to test for this racetrack. Did you find what you're looking for, Tony?
I don't know, in 300 laps I'll know, but I hope so. It didn't work at Richmond last week, but, you know, we've tested like a bunch of other teams have, and, you know, went to Milwaukee, which is a place the Cup Series doesn't race at, so it didn't count against our test, and, you know, hopefully we found some things there that'll make it go good here today.
At the end of the year, Tony Stewart hopes to be on top of the world. Right now, Jeremy Mayfield is.
Jeremy Mayfield. He wins the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 and into the chase for the NEXTEL Cup.
And Jeremy Mayfield is on top of the world. He's also on the wagon. You watched that and you said amazing. How great was that last Saturday?
Man, it was awesome. And, you know, just watching that, just unbelievable. It just brings back last week. And we had a great week. You know, it's been a super week. Went to New York, NASCAR, NEXTEL, and all that stuff. And just glad to get our Dodges in victory lane. It's pretty cool.
Okay, now you're chasing the championship. Where do you go to from here?
Man, it's only up. I mean, we're ninth, you know, in the points right now. And we have nowhere to go but up. And we feel that way, and we feel like we got to race like we did last week, every week, to win this thing, and that's what we got to do.
You used to paint signs at Kentucky Motor Speedway as a kid,
You
right?
weren't supposed to talk about that. I had to do that. That was kind of my side job, really my only job. I raced, worked on my own race cars and raced around there, and painted signs at Kentucky Motor Speedway and lettered a lot of race cars and stuff.
Well, it wasn't that long ago, but you've come a long way, haven't you?
Seemed like yesterday.
How about the Evernham effect? What effect will that have for you, Jeremy?
Man, it's going to be great. Ray's a super guy, and he's been real good about keeping us motivated, keeping us focused on what we got going on, and what a better leader to have right now, you know, running for a championship than Ray. And then Kenny's done a great job. He's really stepped up, knows what his role's got to be here to lead all the guys through this deal, and I think we're going to be in good shape.
All right, thanks for coming up. Best of luck to you today.
Appreciate it.
Jeremy Mayfield rolls off 9th. Let's go to Matt and Matt.
And Matt Kenseth trying to become the first driver since Jeff Gordon back in 97 and 98 to win back-to-back championships. It all starts here on the Magic Mile. Happy hour rained out, Matt. How confident are you standing where you are now with a little track time?
I feel pretty good about it. You know, Robbie and all our DeWalt guys made a good decision on Friday to work on race trim all day and not worry about qualifying because the weather looked, you know, questionable for yesterday. So we run about 35 or 40 laps or something like that on Friday and got our car driving pretty good. So I feel pretty good about it. I don't know if it's you know, going to be as fast as Kurt and some of them other guys like they were last time. We're a little set up a little different than he is, but I'm pretty confident in the car.
And you made the decision to bring this car when the race was over at Richmond.
Yeah, it's not the car we had in the spring, but that car was so fast at Richmond. It was the best car I've ever had at Richmond, and I decided just to turn it around and bring it here.
He begins his chase from the 5th position. Bill?
Thanks, Matt. Breezy high today here in Loudon, only about 60 degrees, but there's plenty of excitement in that cool air. That's the first lap. Here's what's coming up on the Discover Card Countdown to Green. Jimmy Johnson will be pretty busy the next few months, not just chasing the championship, but planning his wedding. We'll sit down with the bride and groom. Dave explains how drivers work for points and how the points work for the drivers. Benny Parsons introduces us to one engineer you wouldn't expect to find in the garage. And Wally Dallenbach shows us how drivers make friends and influence people on the track. All that plus Ryan Newman and Mark Martin coming up on the Discover Card Countdown to Green.
Discover Card Countdown to Green, brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Little Debbie. When you're on the go, nothing sounds as good as a Little Debbie single-serve snack cake. Unwrap a smile.
Michael Waltrip was 6th here in July. He starts 16th, just one spot in front of Rusty Wallace, who won the first Cup race here in July of 1993. And right now, it's a pleasure to welcome the president and CEO of NEXTEL, Tim Donahue, to the wagon. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, Bill. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming up. We saw you in Daytona at the 500. You were kind of a new race fan then. How about now? Have we hooked you?
I am hooked big time. I am into it. We've had such a great inaugural year. the NASCAR officials, the team owners, the drivers, but most especially the fans have been wonderfully welcoming to us, and it's just been great for us and for our company.
And you got to see a bunch of fans in person and on television over the last week, taking your 10 chasers to New York City for a couple days.
Oh, we had such a good time. The 10 top drivers came to New York. We had a great dinner, and of course, they were on the Today Show.
That's right.
And that was a great event, and they are very, very excited about this.
And you've got a beautiful new trophy, and you can't wait to get to Homestead to present that to somebody.
I can't wait. Tiffany did it for us, and as you know, they do the Lombardi trophy, they do Major League Baseball trophy, they do the Stanley Cup trophy. We think it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work, and I'm sure somebody's going to be real proud to have that in their home.
Well, I believe there are a lot of new fans watching NEXTEL Cup racing this year, and I know you're one of them. Thanks a lot for all your time, and best of luck, and I'm sure we'll see you a lot down the stretch.
Okay, Bill, thanks for having me again.
All right, Tim Donahue, President and CEO of NEXTEL. They've done a great job so far this year. Now, in the 29 seasons under the previous point system, only 11 times did a driver outside the top 10 race his way into the top 10 in the final 10 races, and only once did he finish higher than 8th. That was in 2002 when Kurt Busch went from 12th to 3rd. Well, Dave Burns, this year, it's a new system, 10 guys, 10 races to determine the final standings, and obviously, every point is critical.
And Bill, I think that means that we need to take a look at the overall point system and see what we've got. When you break it down, we see that first place is worth 180 points. Last place, or 43rd, is worth 34. And if you want to see all these numbers, you can go to NASCAR.com and look in their news section. Now, notice that in between, you can gain or lose 3, 4, 5, or even 10 points between finishing positions. Winning gets you 180, second gets you 170. That's a big 10-point difference right there. Also notice that the difference between 180 and 34 is 146. That means that Jeff Gordon going into this race is only a 5-point margin over second place Jimmy Johnson and only 45 points over Ryan Newman. All that can be made up in one race. In addition, bonus points. If you lead a lap, you get 5 additional bonus points. The one driver who leads the most laps, 5 additional bonus points. So let's say you win the race, get your 180 points. You've obviously led a lap. You lead the most laps. You can walk away with 190 points. If second place only has 170, didn't lead a lap, plus 20 on the entire field. And that can happen so quickly here, and that's why we're going to track the points all the way through the chase for the NEXTEL Cup, whether you're in the chase or not. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. And every point, as we mentioned, very valuable over the next 10 weeks. Now, there has been some talk. Okay, there's been considerable conversation. Okay, there have been flat-out accusations that team orders, not talent, will produce the winner of the chase. Some people seem to think that Colonel Hogan, Newkirk, and LeBeau will be on the winning crew. Others think some drivers will use a see nothing, say nothing, know nothing technique in traffic. Well, as Wally Dahlback explains, to win the chase, you have to know the good guys from the bad guys.
For the 10 drivers chasing the NEXTEL Cup, their biggest fear in the final 10 races will be getting caught up in somebody else's mess. Case in point, last weekend at Richmond, Jimmy Spencer and Casey Mears tangle in front of championship contenders Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin. Now, as you see here, Jimmy Johnson just minding his own business when the big wreck in front of him happens. Nowhere to go, heavy damage to his car. If that happens in the final 10, could cost him the championship. And as you see, a very frustrated driver. On the other hand, Mark Martin got lucky. He got in the big wreck, but he got through it. A clean 360, no damage to his car, puts it in gear, and drives away. Now, another thing to watch for is teammates working together. Now, if I have a teammate that's not running for the championship, hopefully he'll slide up out of the way and give me those extra valuable points. Seen here, Brendan Gaughan slides up, gives Ryan Newman the clean pass. Those points may be all I need to clinch the NEXTEL Cup. So when it comes right down to it, Bill, I'll tell you what, you got to be smart, but you really hope that there's 42 other guys that are driving smart out there too. That's going to be really important.
Wally, I'll race you like you race me, right?
Exactly. You know, that's how you always want to be done. You want to race clean, and you hope the guys race you clean. But I'll tell you what, this is for the Cup. So these 10 races are going to be real important, and you got to be careful, but, you know, you got to be aggressive. So it's a really fine line.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Enjoy the race.
Okay.
Robbie Gordon got his first NEXTEL Cup Series win at this track. It came in November of 2001. Jimmy Johnson swept both races here in 2003. His story is next. when the Discover Card Countdown to Green continues live from Loudon on TNT.
Johnson wins the Pennsylvania 500.
You are the man. You know that? Awesome job, boys. Awesome job.
Yes. So crazy right now. Today, Jimmy Johnson starts second in his 102nd Nextel Cup race. He has 4 wins this season and 10 in his young career. He's currently second in the championship standings, and cheering him on in the chase, his #1 fan, fiancée Chandra Janway, who knew Jimmy was a winner from the moment they met.
You know, Jimmy wasn't trying to work his magic or put the moves on. He was
I don't have any magic or moves. So I was doing what I thought I could do.
He was just himself, and it was so refreshing.
Jimmy and Chandra met through a mutual friend of Jeff Gordon. She was a model living in New York City, while he was a rising star in a sport she knew very little about.
I didn't know anything about it. I definitely had heard of NASCAR, and I remember seeing Jeff Gordon in the milk ads, so I remember that.
Within a year, Jimmy knew Chandra was the one.
We were skiing, and Jimmy and I both loved to snowboard, so we were taking a photo, and I was getting ready, and he got on his knees. I thought, okay, I'll get on my knees too.
I'm on a knee, she's trying to drop, and I'm holding her up. I'm like, no, I think you should stay standing.
I'm looking around, I was so confused as to what was going on. And then he starts with the, oh, Chandra, I love you, and I'm like, look at the guy shooting the photos. I look at him on his knees, and I'm like, oh, it's happening.
In only his 3rd year of Nextel Cup racing, Johnson is considered a championship favorite. He has 4 wins this season and has been either first or second in the points since late April. But over the past 6 races, 4 finishes of 36th or worse. How has it been for you to handle this rough stretch of weeks and to try to be a source of stability and comfort for him?
Just what you said, I have to be stable and comforting to him. And sometimes it's not even saying anything, it's just being there and letting him vent to me.
Through my career, it's really just been being quiet and just thinking about things, wondering how I could have done something differently, you know, just internalizing it, really. So I have found, as she's trying to pull these things out of me and get me talking about it, it helps me get over it a lot quicker. So it's been a new challenge for me, definitely.
Does that make you feel good?
Yes. He's never said that before. We should do these interviews more often.
Yeah, more often.
The wedding is set for December 11th, less than 3 weeks after the last race of the season.
I really like the white riding. That's beautiful.
Whether he's crowned champion or not, Jimmy says fellow competitor Mark Martin's 23-year quest for the championship has taught him a lot about keeping the proper perspective on life.
Racing is extremely important, but he's not going to let the success or not lack of success, but the disappointment of not winning a championship make his life complete or not. It's his family, and it's his son, and stuff like that. The last couple months has been tough, and I can't let my life, the happiness of my life, be dependent upon a championship. Don't get me wrong, you know, with the year that we've had, if I don't win the championship, there's definitely going to be disappointment. There's definitely going to be heartbreak there, but it's not going to make my life complete. What I'm doing with Shani, moving forward, getting married, that is the start of my new life, and that's what it's going to be based on.
It's going to make me cry.
Gentleman Jimmy proving that race car drivers are just regular guys like you and I. Now let's see, you got a lot going on right now. You're trying to win a championship. You're planning a wedding. Your birthday was Friday. I got the perfect capper of the week. You could win this thing. What do you think the chances are of that today, Jimmy?
I think the chances are good. I definitely have packed a lot into a short amount of time, but I couldn't be happier with my life. Things are going great. My fiance is making me look good by you know, taking care of everything on the wedding side, and that's just time to get to work and win this championship if we can. But we just want to finish up these final 10 strong. We've had a great year. I just want to get to work and have some fun.
Jimmy's team, one of the few with the advantage of testing here 2 weeks ago. Bill?
Thanks, Marty. Each week, General Motors sends one engineer to the track that brings professional expertise and an international flavor to the garage. Born in one country and raised in another, she now makes her living in a very American environment. Here's Benny Parsons.
Alba Colon is the engineer in charge of General Motors' NASCAR NEXTEL Cup race program. Born in Spain and raised in Puerto Rico, Alba manages the technical budget and resources for more than 15 Chevrolet teams.
So you spoke English at an early age? You started?
Yes, you know, we learn English, but you don't never practice the English. So when I came here, it was a little bit tough. I still taking English classes.
You are?
Oh yes, especially pronunciation. Trying to learn to pronounce my English better. Not only, you know, being a woman, but remember it was a new culture for me, new language, new everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I came here by myself. I grew up, you know, studying mechanical engineering. Most of, you know, 99% were guys. So I got used to that kind of deal. You have to work hard to be here, and people will respect you. Doesn't matter if you're a female or a male. And you know, I think that you know, everybody knows that. Yeah. If you work hard and you make it good, you're going to survive. You're going to survive here, and you belong. And this becomes your family.
Thanks, Benny. Rookie Casey Kane finished 8th here in July. He is 12th in the standings and 12th on the grid. Behind him in 14th, Kevin Harvick, who's finished 13th in the last 2 races at this track. We continue from Loudon, New Hampshire in a moment on TNT.
Discover Card Countdown to Green. Brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Suzuki, maker of performance-driven motorcycles, scooters, and all-terrain vehicles.
The remaining 10 races have 2 primary storylines. The guys that have a shot at the title and everyone else. But make no mistake about it, out of the chase does not mean out of the race. Dave?
With Dale Jarrett now, whose Richmond race ended last week with a 26th place finish and missing out on the chase. But DJ, you've dealt with disappointment in this sport before. Where does this one rank in terms of getting past it?
Well, it was disappointing, certainly. I think more disappointing was that we just didn't perform well. But you have to move on, and what we have to look at is the opportunity that we have now in these next 10 to get ourselves back in victory lane and to work hard for next year. You know, we would love to have been a part of that 10, but it could be a blessing for this team that we are rebuilding, that we don't have that to hamper us from getting ready for 2005. So a lot of positives. We have a lot of good things going on here. Mike Ford has done a tremendous job in rebuilding this team, and we're working our way back to a top 10 team, so hopefully we can do that. Say hi to Jason, and congratulations on his victory last night in the ARCA race at Salem.
This 1999 Cup champion starts 15th today. Marty?
Damian McMurray just 2, missed the cut, Dave. 11th in the championship right now. So now that you're not in the chase for the championship, does that change the way you approach this race, Jamie?
Well, I mean, not really, because we've been trying to win every race all year long. Might be easier to pass some of these guys in front of us, because I really believe the guy that has no DNFs in these last 10 races will be your champion. So these guys are probably going to race a little bit differently up front, but as far as for our deal, I mean, we're just going to go out and try to win and just show that we deserve to be in the top 10.
Jamie looking for his 5th straight top 10 finish. Matt?
Marty pulling a number of crew chiefs and teams in the garage area. They feel like nobody is more up on the wheel, more motivated, and has more momentum starting this chase than is Mark Martin. Talladega is a wild card for everybody, Mark, but is this the race that concerns you the most?
Yeah, this one the very most, because we had the least amount of time to prepare for it. But we have such a great team here with the Viagra team, and you know, we're just going to give this thing our best shot. You know, it's only 1 of 10, and there's a lot of racing to go on, and you know, we're going to be more ready as we go forward.
And what did that sign say up in the stands?
What did it say, Wild Thing? Something?
Go Wild Thing number 6.
Yeah, that's from the 60s, you know, that's fitting.
Yep, he's been second here 3 times, chasing a win. To Dave.
Standing by with Ryan Newman, who hung on at Richmond, enters the chase in 10th, only 45 points out, Ryan. And here at a track where you get to start where you've had a win, your first win, it's a good place to begin the chase, no?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, track position being 10th at the start's not the greatest, but I think we got a good race car. We were really quick Friday's practice and qualifying. Didn't get any race practice like everybody else, but just apply what we had here in the spring race and what we learned from that, and hopefully our Automobile 1 Dodge will be fast and up front at the end of the race.
In only 5 starts here at New Hampshire, 4 top 5 finishes. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. Jeff Gordon has made 391 career starts. Today he starts from the pole. Earlier this season, he won back-to-back races at Sonoma and Daytona from the pole. He has 5 wins this season. He is chasing his 5th championship. Now, in 1998, he won his 3rd championship in a year in which he won 13 races, including this one, from the pole. Now, you don't have to look it up because we already did. The countdown is at 0 and the chase is about to begin.
This has been the Discover Card Countdown to Green. Let's go racing.
TNT Sports presents the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series, live from Loudon, New Hampshire. Today, the 10-race chase for the championship begins with 300 laps on this track that measures just over 1 mile in length. 43 drivers are chasing the win. 10 are chasing the championship. Over the next 3 hours, someone could define their season. But over the next 10 weeks, someone could define their career. Marty?
Bill, here in July, Kurt Busch won the race. Are you actually somewhat glad that practice rained out since you won the last race here, Kurt?
That's the best case scenario. It looks good for us. I mean, all season long we've prepared for this event, the first race of the final 10, and it happened on a track that we won at earlier this year. Whether it's by chance or whether we hope that we've got the right setup underneath it, it's going to be a long 10 races or it could be a short 10 races depending upon our luck. So today's the start, and we'll see what we get with the Irwin Industrial Tools Ford.
Since his car left victory lane in July, this team has saved it for this race, Bill.
Over 90,000 fans here in Loudon this afternoon. Glad you're with us on TNT. Right now, let's go trackside and join today's pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand. And gentlemen, remove your hats for today's invocation and national anthem. Our invocation will be given by the Most Reverend Michael Cody, Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Norwich, Connecticut. Bishop Cody.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, out of your infinite love, you have called us into being and sustain us daily. For the gift of life, we praise your holy name. Look kindly on your people who have gathered for this NASCAR NEXTEL Cup race. Be present in a special way to the drivers in today's race. Bless their families. May they always remain united in your love. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
The Star Spangled Banner will be sung by Denise Doucette from Milan, New Hampshire.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, hope was bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Are you ready for a Sunday drive in New England? 6 of the last 9 races here have been won by a driver starting in the top 10. Today, the top 10 starters are the drivers in NASCAR's chase for the championship. And the command to begin that chase is next. NEXTEL Cup Racing from New Hampshire on TNT is brought to you by NEXTEL. Coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and NEXTEL, partners in speed. By Burger King. Burger King reminds you there are 1,537 different ways to have a Whopper, so have it your way. And by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-size. Well, I don't know about you, but I believe we're about to embark on a very exciting adventure. 10 guys in a jailbreak for the championship, all trying to get that #1 seat at the banquet in New York. And that's a feast that Sergeant Schultz would envy. Now upstairs to three guys that never missed an episode of Hogan's Heroes: Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, and Benny Parsons. And Alan, you remember the one when Colonel Klink came into the barracks and Hogan was about to sneak out through the trap door? And
Bill.
Yeah?
Bill. Dismissed.
Thank you, sir.
Should have got Benny in on the Hogan's Heroes references. There's a little Colonel Klink. Look, never mind. Hey, let's talk about this race here today. We have to start with the top 10 guys chasing the championship. BP, Wally, how will they approach this race? Aggressive, conservative? We've heard from the drivers. What do you think?
I think for the first 5 races, you got to be aggressive. These guys got to go for it. And then if they want to protect points later, they can. But, you know, BP, you got to be careful sometimes about being cautious when you're doing these races.
Oh, they got to go for it. You know, when you start trying to slow down and finish 10th and you back up a little bit here and a little there, pretty soon you're a 25th place car. And they've all told me they're going out to do today to get off a good start trying to win this thing.
An area that all of the drivers chasing the championship, I'll probably call them the chasers from time to time over the next 10 weeks, an area that could put all of them in jeopardy today, traffic.
Traffic, because, you know, around here, Wally talked about it in his piece, getting mixed up in someone else's mess. There, Rusty Wallace came off the corner in the 2 car. He was a little bit slow. Dale Jarrett, the 88, got in the back of him. That could be one of the guys in the top 10, as easily it was Rusty Wallace.
I think luck is going to have a big part in this deal.
Be interesting to see how it turns out. We've been talking about it since the winter. Now the 10 races will begin to determine who will be the champion for 2004. Let's go trackside and get things started.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the start-finish line, where our Grand Marshal, Henny Peters, will give the command to send the field on its way in the Sylvania 300.
On behalf of America's lighting leader, Sylvania, gentlemen, start your engines!
So the chase to the championship begins here. 10 drivers with a chance at a title mixed in and among the field of 43 who all want to win the race. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. The 20th NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series race at New Hampshire International Speedway about to begin. The 20th straight sellout, as some 91,000 New Englanders have again jammed the place, this time to see the first step in the chase for the championship. Cars still sitting along pit road. Kind of a chilly day here in northern New England, warming up the fluids before they roll out onto the racetrack to begin their parade and pace laps. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, proud to sponsor the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series race. One problem: no qualifying this weekend. Rained out on Friday, so no Bud Pole Award to hand out. Those are the drivers who have won a pole already this season and are qualified for next February's Budweiser Shootout at Daytona. Starting lineup for today's race, because qualifying rained out, put in order of owner points back through the top 35, so the 10 championship chasers are all in the top 10 spots.
I think they're probably pretty happy about that. That's, you know, you always think you can qualify better, but I think it's real safe to be in that top 10, especially at the start with no practice. These guys have had no practice in race setup.
And while we show you the starting order for today's race, we heard in the pre-race from 9 of the 10 drivers chasing the championship. How about we hear from the 10th on the pace laps, BP?
Good idea. Elliott Sadler, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Yeah, I got you, BP.
All right, Elliott. 10 races to go. Game on. You guys ready?
Oh, man, we're ready as we can be. We've got a lot of good cars saved up. I got the best pit crew in the business. Man, we're fired up. We have nothing to lose. I think the hard part's behind us. Just go ahead and lead as many laps as we can. Run every lap that we can and see where the points lay at.
All right, don't forget, get that pit road speed. We don't want you to get caught speeding on pit road.
We're not going to do that, but appreciate you guys interviewing me. I want to say thanks to M&M's and everybody at Master Foods for giving me the support we've had this year. And we'll see if we can go win them guys the championship here.
Good luck, Elliott.
Elliott Sadler going from row number 3 today, as again the field lined up according to basically their owner points when qualifying was rained out on Friday. These guys outside of the top 10 racing for a win today and also for that 11th place bonus, near $1 million. Robbie Gordon, former winner here at New Hampshire, going to come from back in row number 11.
Terry Labonte, Brian Vickers, Hendrick Cars in row 12.
And Joe Nemechek picked up his first ever NEXTEL Cup Series win at this track at row 13 with Jeff Burton, a 4-time winner here.
And Ricky Rudd on the outside of row 14. Fatback told me this morning, his crew chief, no runs on race setup, all qualifying runs. So this is really an unknown for the 21 car.
Forsberg, the former winner here. Jeff Green with his career best finish at this racetrack a couple of years ago. He's back in row 16. Schrader and Petty in row 17, and now back to the drivers who got in based on the number of qualifying attempts their owner made, including Ricky Craven, New England native.
His final race in the Tide Ride, the 32 car.
Jimmy Spencer back in row 19, Jeffrey Bodine and Morgan Shepherd in row 20. And the final starters in the field will be Mike Wallace, Hermie Sadler, and Teddy Christopher. Christopher, the New England modified and Busch North Series ace, making an NEXTEL Cup start for Stan Hover's team. 51 drivers came here to qualify. Heartbreak for some that weren't able to get into the field because the qualifying was rained out, including Martin Truex, the NASCAR Busch Series championship leader. They've added a couple of pace laps to let the cars warm up some more, so let's take a break. We'll come back for the green flag. New Hampshire International Speedway and the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series ready to begin the chase for the championship. 300 laps just about to begin on this track that measures just over a mile. Coming to the 1 to go signal, so we're a little over a lap from the start. Let's get some final stories from pit road. Matt Yoakum leads us off.
Alan, after a very frustrating Saturday night in Richmond, Casey King, the 9 guys have regrouped and now focused on their biggest goal between now and the end of the season. That's win a race. 5 times they finished second. Crew chief Tommy Baldwin told me the car was good in Friday's practice where they spent a lot of time doing race runs, but the car wasn't good enough. A lot of changes on that 9 car for today. Marty?
Matt, kind of the same story for Bobby Labonte. What a gut-wrenching race they had. They were in the chase for most of the race, then fell out at the very end. He told me just a moment ago he's glad it's over. Now they can focus on building for 2005, in that winning a race in the last 10 races, driving the car he drove last week. That was clearly a top 10 car for most of the race. Dave?
Marty, Ricky Craven is no longer the driver of the number 32 Tide Chevrolet, except for today. Car owner Cal Wells put him in the car one final time so that Ricky could say thank you to his New England area fans. They've always received him very well here. Today they salute him in his departure from the 32. Bill?
Dave, for the 10 drivers in NASCAR's chase for the championship, a title twist different from any other sport. They not only have to beat the guys that made the tournament, but race face-to-face with the 33 guys that didn't. Just when you thought the field was a little smaller and the purse a little bigger, you found out the task is a little tougher. One word you've probably heard for the last time today: gentlemen.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably right, Bill.
This is the ultimate every man for himself competition. Problem is, there's 10 of them have a little bit more to lose than the others. 1.058 miles is what the New Hampshire International Speedway measures. So 300 laps here today, 317.4 miles, and the chase for the NEXTEL Cup is underway.
And the next couple miles are going to be awfully slippery. Cold racetrack, cold tires.
Tony Stewart is up in Never Never Land. He's really taking a chance on the outside. It's working for him. He's even going for the lead. Tony, look at him go.
Watch it. Gordon will slide up the racetrack a little bit. Doesn't have the grip yet.
Jeff Gordon to lead lap 1. Tony Stewart second. Elliott Sadler around the outside of Jimmy Johnson for third. Sadler in the 38.
Oh, Tony Stewart a little bit sideways there.
Now remember, under the point system used to determine the NASCAR champion, if you lead a lap at any time in the race, as Dave told you earlier, it's 5 bonus points toward the title. Gordon's collected his for the day. Tony Stewart wants some too. And as you look at the running order come across the top of the screen during the race, the 10 drivers involved in the chase for the championship will be highlighted by the NEXTEL yellow. Everybody else will be in our normal blue background with white letters. So that's the way you can keep track of the 10 chasers throughout the day and the rest of the 9 remaining races after this. Here's Dale Jr. in the 8 on Jimmy Johnson in the 48 for 4th. Remember that Junior didn't run much of the July race here. He had suffered those burns in the sports car race the previous week. Ran the first 59 laps before giving way to Martin Truex as a relief driver. That was back in July.
And Martin Truex came up and tested for this race a couple of weeks ago. He tested an 8 car for Junior. Tony Uri Jr., the car chief on the 8, was here with him. So they feel like they have a pretty good setup today.
ran that test, Martin Truex came up with a great setup that they were very happy with. Put it on the car Friday morning for Dale Jr. to try out, and he hated it. Just showing you that drivers don't exactly like the same setups all the time, but the 18 worked and worked and worked. Finally got a setup Junior was comfortable with. They spent their entire day Friday working on race setup. That was key because, as we said, practice rained out yesterday.
That's exactly right, Marty. That everybody has a little bit different feel. Some guys like cars being a little bit more stiff. Some guys like the cars roll a little bit more. So yeah, if you're going to have a team, you hope you have a teammate that likes the same similar type of a setup than you do.
And this 97 car, Kurt Busch, he won this race in July in very convincing fashion. Same car, he brought it back. The weather is different. Will it react? Will the 97 car react differently?
Probably more importantly, they have a lot of confidence in that race car. These guys have been waiting for this race for a long time.
Looking ahead for Mark Martin at this race between Jeremy Mayfield and Kurt Busch. That's for 9th and 10th places. Casey Kane, Mayfield's teammate, has gone through both of them, and Kane is up to 7th spot after starting in 12th. Mark Martin hanging back at 11th spot. Bill?
Second here 3 times, Allen, and as you heard in the Discover Card countdown to green, concerned about his performance at this track where he's never been to victory lane. They brought the Richmond car here. That was their plan, unless, of course, they lost it. He didn't make the chase. 8th in points, 34 career wins, but no championships. Mark Martin, a man on a mission with a lot of support behind him.
And an awful lot of momentum coming into these last 10 races. Mark with 5 of his 7 top 5 finishes this season in those last 7 races leading up to this week.
Casey Kane's making a few spots here. Past Ryan Newman, and now he's working on Matt Kenson.
And I tell you what, in practice Friday, the couple hours they practiced this 12 car, in his qualifying trim was about a quarter of a second faster than any other car in the field. But in race trim, it looks like that
well, he's coming back on Casey Kane right now. And Kurt Busch looks like he's going to follow him through, maybe. Marty, what are they saying on the 97?
Car working very well for Kurt Busch so far, Wally, and these drivers are very focused, especially the 97 team. They believe they can win here today and start the chase the best way possible. Kurt, before the race, gave his team a pep talk.
All right, boys, we've worked all year for this. It's only 30 points out of the lead. It's the same track we won on earlier this year. We've got a few more that we haven't run so well on. Let's go out there and hit our mark. Make some laps, do some pit stops, and we'll make sure that we put fuel in it too. All right, boys, let's do it.
Kurt told me before the race we have the same car we have in July. I'm confident in the setup. I know we can win today. That would be the best possible way to start this chase. Dave?
Marty, Casey Kane now losing a couple of spots he had gained, but that car very, very good. Talked to Tommy Baldwin Jr., the crew chief for the 9 this morning. They spent 3/4 of their practice on Friday in race setup mode. That means that they were prepared just in case it rained out qualifying, which it did. Tommy said that the rain washed a lot of the ideas they had off this track, but they were going to throw something at it this morning they thought would work. So far, so good.
Looks like Newman may have that car set up for the longer runs, BP.
As he has moved away from these guys as they keep racing for this spot.
Get the heat in the tires and the pressure built up in the tires. This car looks like it's working a lot better now.
Not missing anything up front. Jeff Gordon still leading. Tony Stewart still tracking behind him. The rest of the top 5 a little bit back from their bumpers. This is the hot spot on the racetrack as Casey Kane and Jeremy Mayfield try and make some hay and move forward.
And here comes Tony Stewart. This is a battle for the lead. Looks like he's going to get his 5 bonus points this lap.
Got it. And for 3rd place, Junior. Back around Elliott Sadler.
Oh, that 48 right up the back bumper of the 38.
He almost ran over the 38.
So 48, I mean. Jimmy Johnson moves up with Dale Jr. And that puts Johnson to 4th place. Matt?
And Alan, crew chief Chad Canals came on the radio as we took the green flag. He said, guys, it is very chilly, very breezy. We are going to have a mandatory caution. We'll have 35, so stay active. He knows, like everybody else, only 4 lead changes here in July, so this race could easily be won or lost right here on pit road.
Yeah, a lot of these New Hampshire races, the words track position turn out to be huge. If you've got a couple of cars that are fairly competitive with each other, it's hard to make a pass here. And if the guys can make that pass for you on pit road, it's a huge advantage.
And it seems like left side tires go a long ways here.
And you see these guys making these passes now. They'll be much harder to make the last 100 laps than they are now.
After everybody gets a chance to adjust on the cars over a couple pit stops to the conditions. So the second leader of this race is Tony Stewart. Tony came into these final 10 races in the chase for the Nextel Cup, 4th in the championship standings. He has gone to the front, trying to claim his second series title. He won it in 2002. Stewart out in front early at New Hampshire. Back at New Hampshire, the caution has just come out. Robbie Gordon, running 19th, got spun around up in turns 1 and 2. You see the damage to the right rear of his car. He has continued and rejoined the line of traffic.
I've seen Robbie Gordon going on the inside to make it 3 wide with Greg Biffle in that 29 car. And when he came up in front of the 16, looked like there might have been contact with Biffle. That turned him around.
Or Kevin Harvick. Woo.
Hit behind you. Hit behind you.
On board the singular car. And listen.
Ouch.
Grabbed a gear, kept on going. But Robbie Gordon has dropped to 32nd place from 19th, where he was at the time of the spin. Pit road is closed. Robbie's stopping early. Remember in Indianapolis where they went by the pit road and had the flat tire and all the rest? Maybe not taking a chance on that. And pit road will be open this time when the lead lap cars come by.
Yeah, they're going to be, I think they're going to come. I think they're going to come and make some adjustments here.
Some of them are going to come make pit stops because there is going to be a mandatory caution at 35. Then they'll stay out and get that track position.
I'd be coming in.
So what kind of game are they going to play?
Well, let's see.
I think you got to come now. And like BP said, you got to stay out later.
First stays out, second stays out, third comes in, fourth, fifth pits, sixth stays out, seventh stays out. And a lot of them are going to come in behind him.
Every strategy known to mankind here. Marty.
BP's got the strategy right on for the 8 car. That's their plan. Pit now, stay out at lap 35, free into the corner, a little snug in the middle of the corner, a little bit loose off the corner, but I like it. That's the quote from Junior. It'll be 4 tires for the 8 bunch and no chassis changes.
A gas-only stop for Jimmy Johnson. A close call with the 2 of Rusty Wallace. They made a chassis adjustment. The car was snappy loose, Dave.
9 car of Casey Kane on pit road, off pit road. 2 right side tires. He was pushing the nose a little when he got back in the throttle, so they made a track bar and air pressure adjustment.
Not pitting under the caution flag, the top 2. Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon stay out under yellow for the first time in the Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race yesterday did get run here at New Hampshire. Delayed 5 hours by rain. Congratulations to Travis Kvapil, his second win of the year. Championship standings, Bobby Hamilton's lead evaporating as he ran afoul of officials during yesterday's race. They run in Las Vegas next weekend. NASCAR Busch Series off. They go to Dover next Saturday. See it live on TNT as their chase for their own championship is led by Martin Truex Jr. A variety of strategies employed under this yellow flag. Top 9 on the racetrack stayed out, did not pit. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, Jeremy Mayfield, Greg Biffle, Bobby Labonte, Carl Edwards, Kyle Petty did not pit. First off the pit lane, Jimmy Johnson on fuel only. A couple guys behind him with right side tires only. What do you think of that call by these leaders, guys?
Oh, man. I don't really know how this thing's going to shake out. I do know they're going to lose a lot of track position when they make that pit stop in just a few laps.
I agree with you on that. I think we talked about earlier, the track position is so important here. Boy, they're going to give up a lot if they do come in.
They don't have to pit on lap 35.
That's right.
NASCAR still planning on putting out that competition yellow at lap 35. That's fairly standard procedure in a race where they don't get a lot of race practice for them to put the caution out. They call it on them early in the race. So Stewart holds off Gordon on the restart. Casey Kane got shuffled into that outside lane in that 9 car in turns 1 and 2, and he's losing a couple spots here on this restart. Sterling Marlin went by in the 40, Jamie McMurray in the 42, and now Junior all over Kane's back bumper. And this is for 14th and 15th.
Casey's car looks like it's a little bit loose right there. It's real important to get these cars through the center of the corner. You want the car to roll through And right there, looks like Casey's a little bit loose right as he's entering the corner, right before the center of the corner.
Tell you what, he's getting a fairly good grip on the outside groove around this racetrack. That looks encouraging. We might have 2 grooves here before the day's over.
Casey, I don't think I mentioned this before, just took right side tires on his pit stop.
Maybe why he's sliding a little bit. Dave, what are they saying about the 9 car Casey Kane?
Well, and just remember the car was tight on the gas, and so they made an adjustment on with the track bar, brought that up to make the car looser, so it may be pretty loose to start with.
Oh, man.
McMurray in the 42.
And Sterling Marlin very, very loose off turn 4 as he tried to get alongside Kyle Petty. When he got loose, the 42 drove up on the inside. Now the 9 will go on the outside.
Oh, wow. They just bounced off each other.
They sure
Look at
did.
the right front fender on the 42.
Peel that right front fender back on the 42 car.
Shaped like that, might not be so bad.
Let's see. The fenders are pretty important here. The downforce through the corners.
These cars will be running 140, 50 miles per hour going down the straightaway, so obviously that much wind going across the fenders would create a lot of downforce.
I was just thinking they made a little winglet there with that bottom end of that fender sticking out. We'll
Jeff
see.
Gordon back in front of Tony Stewart down in 1. And Kurt Busch right on the back of the 12. Hey, Matt, anything wrong with the 20 now?
BP, he's very pleased with that race car. And I talked to Greg Cipanelli. He said basically even if we pitted under that caution, we would still have to pit 3 more times. So no use giving up track position now. It'll all cycle through later on.
Well, Kurt Busch is coming. His car looks like it's working really, really well right now.
Remember, he did not pit under the caution, so Kurt up in 4th place now after taking the green flag in 7th. Marty?
At the beginning of the run, Kurt Busch said the car was a little bit loose, and he came on lap 6 and said, this is where it starts coming to us. Since then, except under the caution, nothing. He's been very happy with the chassis. He said it has the same feel as it has in July, and of course, they won the race here in July. Wally, the key to them winning in July, he said I was able to get to the throttle earlier than everybody else and harder than everybody else, and that's why I was so good from the middle of the corner off.
Exactly. That's what we talked about earlier. Getting through the center. If you can get through the center of the corner better than everybody else, you can get to the gas sooner. And by doing that, it looks like you've got an extra 100 horsepower.
Well, he got to the gas sooner than Ryan Newman there, and it got him up to 3rd spot. So Kurt Busch moving forward in the early laps. Now, Matt Kenseth was 9th when the caution flag came out. Now he restarted back in 20th. He's 19th. Bill, what's up?
Trying to carve his way through the field. Had to stop. Could not get the car to rotate through the turns. And what took them longer on pit road is they pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear. So almost a 15-second stop, but Matt felt they had to do it now to help make the car better.
That's just that lack of practice on yesterday because of the rain. Now they're able to get out and make these runs and figure out what they needed.
Harvick taking a look here under Dale Jarrett.
Yep, that's going to be for the 17th spot. Harvick through there. Jarrett sliding back. Chase for the Nextel Cup. We check the standings as they run in the race. We'll do it frequently over these final 10 weeks of the season. Of course, remember, all the drivers starting today only separated by 5 points per position, first back to 10th. And we'll also track over these final 10 races that race for the 11th spot. Who's got it and who's chasing it. Nearly $1 million bonus and a spot on stage at the New York award ceremony up for the 11th place finisher. The best of the rest, if you will.
Pretty close. 3 cars within 9 points for that 11th spot. See 0-1, Joe Nemechek. USG on this car this weekend. Nemechek got his first victory here at the New Hampshire International Speedway.
5 years ago today, September 19th, 1999. Lap 35 is when the competition yellow will be put out by NASCAR, just a couple of laps away.
Whoa! Casey Kane all over the back of the 99 car. Carl Edwards looks like he really had to hammer the brakes there, keep from running into him.
Elliott Sadler in the 38's been the loser in this exchange, Wally. He's lost a couple spots there. Kane went by him. Now Earnhardt Jr. is trying to go by him. And Marty can tell us what's up with Elliott Sadler.
Well, he's one of those guys who pitted back on lap 9 now, and they took 2 tires. The car was loose off the corner, so they went down 1 round on the track bar. Before the race started, Elliott told me, we're going to surprise some people today. This is not my best track. My best finish is 8th, but this car is good. Same car that won the race at California.
A guy who may have the best car on track right now is in that 97, Kurt Busch.
Yeah, we were here 2 months ago. Nothing has changed. The 97 car won the race, was the fastest, and appears to be the best car now.
Just took 2nd place away from Tony Stewart. Marty?
Yeah, we talked about his car being loose into the corners. He said it's still loose in, loose off, but it's getting better every lap, guys. You know, we're just moving to the front.
A little farther back, a little log jam in traffic here involving some of the championship chasers.
Looks like the 48 car. He struggled here in July a couple of months ago. Looks like he's struggling out there now in the 48 car.
Jimmy Johnson overtaken by Carl Edwards, by Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the caution flag is out. The competition yellow just waved by NASCAR, 2nd caution of the race.
Matt, how about the 48? What's he saying?
BP, remember back to July, they used this race as a test session, tried a different car and different shock package. They learned that they don't want to do that again. They brought back a whole different race car and migrated back to their setup from last year. That chassis adjustment they made on the last stop, 19, it has helped the race car overall, but it's still just a tick free.
Okay, so it looks like he might be coming back in, making another pit stop.
Probably.
And how about Jeremy Mayfield, Bill?
Talking about their pit stop right now, Alan, but it's not just the drivers that are trying to excel. It's also the guys on pit road. They have a sign on their pit box along pit road that says it all. From now on, everything you do is for the championship, including this round of stops coming up now.
Pit road will be open this time. So of the 9 guys who stayed out last time, how many of them come in? Of the rest of the field that pitted last time, how many of them stay out? And where do some of those up front runners end up restarting?
I think the top 3 guys will be in.
I think he will too.
Well, we'll find out in mere seconds.
All righty then.
Here come the top 3 guys.
Looks like all of them. Here comes the top 10, 11, 12.
Looks like Casey Kane is going to be the first one to stay out, the 10th place runner. Bill?
Jeremy Mayfield loves his tires, needs a little bite, so it's a track bar adjustment and fuel only, and they send the 19 on his way, Marty.
Looks like a replay of July for Kurt Busch. He said the car is awesome under that last caution. Loose in, loose off, just a half pound to the right rear, Matt.
Brian Larson already made a track bar adjustment on Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. Dave.
Jeff Gordon's car was loose in, tight in the middle. The loose in fixed itself. The car was getting tighter in the middle, so they made a wedge adjustment. 2 right side tires only for the 24.
Oh, we had another one of those strategy smorgasbords playing out there, didn't we?
Man, don't you love it?
4 tires, 2 tires.
No tires.
Not stopping at all. We'll sort it all out, get it straight for you, along with the restart. We come back to New Hampshire in a minute. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Michael Waltrip's team picking up $20,000 for spending the least amount of time on pit road among participating crews in the McDonald's Drive-Thru Pit Crew Championship fueled by Powerade. Last Saturday at Richmond, there are the season-long standings for the $200,000 top prize. Elliott Sadler's crew hanging on to the #1 spot. And the #1 spot in today's race is held by Casey Kane as we come back to the green flag.
Green flag.
The top 15 in the running order on track did not pit under this caution. First off pit road was Ryan Newman. He restarts 16th. So as you watch the running order, the top 15 right now did not stop under this caution.
And Kurt Busch restarted back in the 23rd position that we talked about. He does have 4 fresh tires and whatever adjustment he might need.
Guys who did pit played a wide variety of strategies. We're going to hear about those in just a minute. First, let's let this restart sort out for a couple of laps. It's Casey Kane leading, Elliott Sadler second. That's the race for 3rd. Sterling Marlin in 40, Kevin Harvick in 29. And then you've got Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth racing for 5th and 6th right behind them. Some of the guys who were leading earlier, Jeff Gordon is back in 18th, Tony Stewart 19th. Then he told you Kurt Busch now back to 23rd place. And Jimmy Johnson way back in traffic in 26th.
Matt Kenseth pops out. Passes his teammate, Mark Martin.
Sure does. Nemechek. And here's Jimmy Spencer trying to go on the outside of Nemechek.
Jimmy ran out of room.
Didn't work there. Yeah, it didn't work.
Spencer in the 4, running in 8th place. Nemechek pressing Mark Martin. That'll be for 5th place. Check that for 6th.
And here's where, Mark is going to use his head and be smart right at this point in the race. He's got a decent race car, but he's not going to force the issue, right, Bill?
Absolutely. Took 2 right side tires on his first stop. Did not stop under that mandatory caution, but the car is bad loose, Wally. Now what they have in that car is the setup from the 97 car that won here in July. It was a little snug in practice, but too loose so far in these cold temperatures.
Well, he's hoping that car that'll come back to him like it did Kurt Busch. The more he runs, the tighter that hopefully that car will get, and it'll be a good balance on the long run.
Jimmy Spencer having a great run today in the 4 car. This is trying to take over the 7th position from Mark. Here comes Ricky Craven and Jeff Burton back there.
That's getting a little close.
And this is where we're talking top show. Where Mark's got to be smart, but not too cautious. He's got a lot of cars racing around him right now.
Let's talk about this racetrack just for a second. People looking in that aren't familiar with New Hampshire see all those dotted lines on the racetrack and want to know why guys aren't all the way down at the bottom by the yellow line like they are in a lot of other speedways.
There's just more banking up in the middle of the racetrack than there is down next to the yellow line. 2 or 3 degrees banking, as a matter of fact. Enough that makes a big difference.
This is for 3rd place. Kevin Harvick by Sterling Marlin. So Harvick up to the number 3 spot.
Talked to Bobby Hutchins, the general manager of Richard Childress Racing today, and asked him how his cars were, the 29, 30, 31, and he said he thought they had really good race cars, and right now Harvick, the 29 car, running very well. Bill?
And Benny, I talked to Kevin Harvick this morning. He was in his hauler in the garage, laid back, had his hat on sideways, just looked refreshed, said he's going to go out and do what he's always wanted to do. Have fun and win some races. That's something he hasn't done. Win a race in Indianapolis last year. I said, you haven't been having any fun? He goes, not much lately, but it's about to start.
And that's one thing about that situation. The guys are not in the chase for the cup, is that all they have to do is worry about winning. And that is a lot more fun. You don't have that pressure of the championship on you.
And right behind him, here comes Matt Kenseth, one of the guys who is chasing the championship. Did not pit under this caution. He's just taken 4th spot away from Sterling Marlin. And Nemechek trying to follow him through in that bottom lane. And Nemechek squeezing through, and that'll put Joe up to 5th place. How about Matt Kenseth, Bill?
Well, moving forward, Alan got some help with those guys. Pitted car seems to be a little bit better. Talked to Robbie Reiser's crew chief in the garage this morning. A lot of confidence about what they can do starting right here. We'll see what happens. But Matt had to pit early because the car was no good. Much better now.
So Kenseth running along in 4th place. Started the day in the chase for the Nextel Cup in 5th, and that would put him 20 points behind the leader at the start of the day. Casey Kane is your race leader, 0.8 of a second up on Elliott Sadler, who runs 2nd. Sadler, one of the guys not stopping under this caution. Let's talk strategy. Marty?
Indeed, Alan, the 6th place man in the championship decided to stay out. They did pit earlier on lap 9. Elliott's had a great car today, but there is starting to be a concern with the brakes on the 38 car.
Yeah, I don't know if my brakes are going to make it or not, man. I got a terrible vibration today. I feel like something in the right front. Let's stay off of them right there to see if that would help. But I don't know if something's loose or what. I'm not real sure. It's feeling really bad in the steering wheel. That's why I asked you, was it anything on the tires?
Elliott went on to say it just gives him an unsecure feeling. He tried to ride as much as he could without the brakes. That's hard to do here at New Hampshire, isn't it, BP?
It is, Marty, but last week at Richmond, several drivers complained about exactly the same thing, a vibration on brakes.
There's a change of spots for Jeff Gordon and Ryan Newman. That'd be for 14th place.
And Newman waved him by. And we talked about that too early. You're going to see a lot of this, I think, amongst these guys, is the clean move. Pull over, let the guy go, especially when he's faster.
Newman restarted in 16th, and he is 15th now. Jeff Gordon restarted behind him in 18th and has moved up to 14th. Casey Kane did not pit under that 2nd caution. He's out in front here at New Hampshire International Speedway. The young driver from Enumclaw, Washington, looking for his first NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series win. He's come close, finished 2nd 5 times so far this season, but still looking for number 1.
New Hampshire International Speedway. Got a visit from Ivan yesterday, but it is a beautiful Sunday in Loudon. High temperature about 60 degrees. Little chill in the air. Very breezy. 27th race of the season. First race of the chase for the NEXTEL Cup. Well underway here at Loudon. Time for a visa through the field. We'll start up front with Dave Burns.
Leader Casey Kane radioed into his crew recently saying the car is pretty good. I feel just a little bit twitchy. They need to make a track bar adjustment, maybe back halfway from what they did it last time. Marty?
Second place in the race, sixth place in the championship. Elliott Sadler has said nothing about the brake vibration on this run. Tell him to get a little bit at a time. Car's fairly good, Bill.
And so is the 29 car of Kevin Harvick. In fact, quoting, "This thing is so good, it's incredible up off the corner." So they stayed out last time. Good run for Harvick. Matt Kenseth, as we talked about in the 17 car, the reigning series champion, has marched forward after restarting 20th, and they took that spring rubber out of the rear. Good run for Matt. To Marty.
However, Joe Nemechek had a loose race car earlier on. He's in 5th place right now. He dialed in some front brake that made the car a little bit better. Pitted on lap 9 for 4 tires. Fairly happy with it right now, Dave.
Jimmy Spencer pitted under the lap 17 caution. Car was just a little bit tight. They made an air pressure adjustment, changed 4 tires, so they stayed out on the competition caution and got track position. Matt?
Sterling Marlin runs in the 7th position. That's the same race car that he scored his 2 best runs this year, a 4th at Rockingham and Bristol. They turned it around after Richmond. Fuel only back on that lap 19 stop. He says the car is very good balance-wise, Marty.
Fuel only for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as well in the 8th position, just to keep them in the window with everybody else. The car, quote to Jr., is excellent. Finished 2nd last week at Richmond. Bill?
Mark Martin's crew chief, Pat Tryson, commands that 6-car and crew. He told me this morning the feeling after last week at Richmond was relaxed and relieved. And he said his driver felt the same way. They used half their practice time on Friday for race runs, half for qualifying, but the car's not very good right now. Mark's going the wrong way. Marty?
Hometown boy Ricky Craven in the top 10 right now in the 10th position. He too fighting a tight race car right now, struggling with it just a little bit. Stayed out, gained the track position he needed on that last stop.
There are the top 10 of the 39 cars that are on the lead lap. Casey Kane, one of 3 drivers who've been out front. Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart, the other 2 caution flags so far in the race. Let's continue to go through the field with 11th place Kurt Busch, and his story is Marty Snyder.
Alan BP would say Kurt Busch is going somewhere, and that's what he's doing right now. A little bit tight off the exit, but he told the guys, quote, "It's perfect otherwise." I think he's fairly happy with the 97 car right now, Dave.
Jeff Gordon thinks he's going somewhere too, Marty. He just radioed in saying that 97 is in a different world. They feel good about the changes in their car, but Jeff mired in traffic now. Weber?
Well, just to stay with the theme, Dave, Jeff Burton is going somewhere, but it's the wrong where. His car's starting to slip backwards. The car needs to turn better in the corners, needs a little more bite, Matt.
Frankie Stoddard had spin.
Turn 1 and 2. Greg Biffle, Jeremy Mayfield. Oh, who's that? Tony Stewart. Punched into the side of Greg Biffle's car.
Getting caught up in somebody else's mess.
Man, oh man.
Look at this. Stewart trying to get away, and
That was Biffle. Man, a lot of damage that 16 car. And
So-
Jeremy Mayfield also involved. You see the left rear tires flat on Jeremy's car.
so 2 of the drivers in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup involved in a mess. There's 64 laps into these final 10 races. Jeremy Mayfield entered this weekend 9th in the championship, and Tony Stewart.
Ooh, a lot of damage there on that
boy.
20 car. They got a lot of work.
Question is if they got the radiator.
Oh, I see. This is a payback from the earlier spin out with Robbie Gordon.
That's exactly what it is. And like I said, unfortunately, you get guys that have nothing to do with that, running for the championship, cost them.
Yep. Remember earlier we saw the 31 car being spun by the 16, and this time that's the payback.
It'll be interesting to see if there's a call on this one.
Meanwhile, pit road is open, and most everyone is in for a stop, Bill.
Matt Kenseth, just an air pressure adjustment, small chassis adjustment. The car very good, much better than how they started out.
Bill, 2nd place Elliott Sadler, tight in the middle, just a little bit loose off. I like it, though, it's what he said. Brakes are okay now. Track position the key, Dave.
The 9 car of Casey Kane comes in. The car had gotten loose, so they're going to reduce the air pressure in the right rear tire just a bit. Help tighten that car up ahead of him. Matt?
Dave, there is considerable cosmetic damage to the front of Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. They've already got the baseball bats out trying to peel back the fenders, surveying the damage. They're going to change the tires, put 4 tires on it, look and see what they have to do, make sure there aren't any leaks with the radiator or anything else on this race car, then send them back out so they don't lose a lap, then bring them back, and then start making repairs. Tough break for the 2002 champion, guys.
Looks like there's a little bit water under there. Is there, Matt? Looks like there's a little bit of water underneath the front of that car.
A lot of conversation on the radio. He's going to pull away here. We can see a little bit of fluid, Wally. Yes, you are correct.
And Jeremy Mayfield's car will not move. He's stalled off turn 2, losing laps. What a tough break for him. Just like you talked about, in somebody else's problem.
Point, counterpoint.
Yeah, this is, what happens when 2 guys get into it. Here, Robbie Gordon goes by Greg Biffle and feels that Biffle took him out, which I don't believe was the case. I believe Robbie just got a little bit loose there, but...
There's the contact earlier.
And then here comes the payback.
Now, this was just a couple of laps ago. Going down the corner. Spun Biffle in front of in the side of the 19 car, and Tony Stewart had no place to go. He also gets involved.
So caught up in someone else's mess, something we've been talking about since the start of the broadcast today. It's happened to Tony Stewart. He goes behind the wall. NASCAR NEXTEL Cup chase for the championship with its first twisted plot pretty early here at New Hampshire International Speedway in race 1 of 10. And race 2 is next Sunday, the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware, TNT at 12:30 Eastern as we check the Wendy's race menu. Then it's on to the real wild card of the bunch, according to a lot of the drivers, Talladega. October 3rd on NBC. Then we go to the Kansas Speedway, Saturday night race in Charlotte. All coming up. Race for the chase and our Wendy's race menu. Robbie Gordon, we showed you the replays earlier for his involvement in this incident that got Jeremy Mayfield and Tony Stewart, 2 of the championship chasers, in trouble.
Well, this is just a payback, and we talked about, we thought that was the situation last week at Richmond with Jimmy Spencer and Casey Mears, and they were going to park Spencer for a couple laps and then looked at the tapes and said no, but this is pretty obvious that this was a payback and this is what needs to be done, and I commend NASCAR for it.
This time they looked at the tapes and said, we're going to penalize Robbie Gordon 2 laps for rough driving. Meanwhile, Jeremy Mayfield's in the garage, Bill.
On the 19 car, left front damage, also heavy damage to the left rear, working on the suspension parts. Mayfield sits in the car, window net up. Crew chief Kenny Francis said, there's nothing we can do about this. We'll get it back out, get what we can, Matt.
A sea of orange and white around the front of Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. They're going to have to replace the radiator. Right now, they're just trying to cut off all the bodywork and get the old radiator out so they can get that new one in. They're using up their mulligan for this championship chase in the very first race.
If Robbie Gordon is smart after this race, he'll be on that first helicopter out of here.
Green flag. And we're back racing. Michael Waltrip did not pit under the caution. He is the leader. That is Kevin Harvick, first off pit road, heavily pursuing him in the 29 car.
There, Michael Waltrip, this 15 car, runs very well at this racetrack. He and Slugger Labby have a very good setup, but right now, Harvick wants that lead.
Oh, McMurray taking the spot from Ryan Newman. Takes over 3rd.
And here they are 3 wide. Jimmy Johnson, Elliott Sadler, and Wisdom prevailed when he got down to turn 1, and they go through there 2 wide.
I was thinking you might have spoken a little too soon there yet. Wisdom prevailed. They had to get through the corner first. Marty.
Track position is going to be the key today, guys, as we already know. Ryan Newman on his stop, 2 right side tires. So on the same left side tires they started the race on. Matt Borland told me that was by strategy. They planned that this morning. If the car was good, they were not going to take tires until the first real caution of the day, and then they'll take right side tires on lap 64.
And now Jimmy Johnson challenging Newman there for that 4th spot. Johnson at 48 gets the position, and now Newman going to fend off another challenger. Here comes Elliott Sadler.
Looks like they've gotten Jimmy Johnson's 48 car a little bit better after a couple of pit stops, made some adjustments.
normally, gotta remember, Newman's car isn't really good on the restarts. Usually takes about 8, 9, 10 laps before that car starts working.
And while this goes on, behind the wall, they continue to work on Tony Stewart's car to replace that radiator. That's about 2/3 of the way down pit road from turn 4 towards turn 1, next to where Stewart's pit is. And back in the garage, they continue to work on Jeremy Mayfield's car as well, the 19.
And those are the two teams that you just feel the worst for because, again, they had nothing to do, as you talked about. Someone else gets involved, have a contest, they bang into each other, and those two cars get involved, and it's so sad.
And it could cost them. I mean, it's going to be tight for the next 10 races, and that could really, really cost them in the end.
And while we watch Joe Nemechek here try and hold off these guys for 6th place. All right, we'll come back to that in a minute. Bill?
All right, back here in the garage with Jeremy Mayfield and his crew working underneath the car while I'm trying to get in here. Nothing you could do, Jeremy.
No, it's a shame. You know, our Dodge running good. We were just trying to be patient there and, you know, work our way back up there. But I guess the 31-16 had something going on there. I don't know why they settled stuff on the racetrack. I guess they're too scared to settle it outside the racetrack. But it's a shame for us. You know, we had to be caught up in their mess and just a bad day for us.
So high last Saturday night. This brings you right back to earth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, you know, that's what happens. But it's a shame that this team is better than this. We didn't have nothing to do with it. You know, we got caught up in somebody else's stupidity mistakes. But what do? You know, we'll fight back. We've got a great race team. We'll be back out there.
So Jeremy Mayfield sitting in his car in the garage as they attempt to repair it and get back out. Thought I was going to earlier as Dale Jr. makes a move on Newman for 8th place. There seem to be two camps of theory. One says if you have one bad race in this final 10, your championship hopes are gone. Another saying, no, that's not the case, that everybody's going to have at least one bad race in the final 10. What do you guys think?
I subscribe to the latter. I think you can have a bad race and still be the champion.
I disagree with you on that one. I think if you have a really bad race, it's going to be tough to win it just because you know there's going to be 3 or 4 guys that had good races for the next 10 races. So we'll see.
You see Stewart and Mayfield now down at the bottom end of the top 10 of the drivers chasing the championship through these final 10 races. And as far as 11th position is concerned, Jamie McMurray running 3rd in the race right now. Leading the drivers looking after that extra near $1 million bonus. Michael Waltrip leads, Kevin Harvick 2nd, Jamie McMurray 3rd, Jimmy Johnson 4th, Elliott Sadler 5th. There's the lead Waltrip on Harvick. Waltrip not pitting under this last caution. He stopped back at lap 37. How about the thinking on the Waltrip team's part there, Dave?
Well, they knew the car was good, Alan, so they stayed out. Talked to Slugger Labby, the crew chief, this morning. I said, you know, you had trouble on a final pit stop last year that put you out of the top 10. He said, I know it, and he said, I've wanted to win this race ever since then. We are focused on this race. The only problem we have with our car right now, front spring's just a little bit stiffer than Michael likes, but we think we can lead. We think we can win.
Slugger Labby is from New England.
Up in Maine.
Yep. So this would be the closest track to where he grew up, and he would very much like to secure a race-winning trophy from this New Hampshire International Speedway. So Michael Waltrip out in front, seeking his first victory of 2004. The two-time Daytona 500 winners come close. He's finished 2nd earlier this year, but he's not gotten that checkered flag first so far. 91,000 on hand, sold out New Hampshire International Speedway. Watching the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series on a sunny, I guess we'd have to call this early fall afternoon here in New England.
It feels like fall, I'll tell you that.
It does. Michael Waltrip enjoying the sunshine most for now. He is out in front, the 4th different driver to lead this race. Waltrip opening up a gap of about 0.8 of a second on Kevin Harvick.
He better run fast, get as far away from that 17 and 97 as he possibly can, because they are fast.
Especially that 97. He is in a class of his own right now.
Looking back from Michael Waltrip, there's Jimmy Johnson, the 3rd place driver, Elliott Sadler 4th, Jamie McMurray 5th. And there are Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch, 17 and 97, running 9th and 10th and trying to get 8th away from Dale Jr. in the 8th.
I'd say it's just a matter of time. Kenseth's taking a look at the bottom. I think as fast as Kurt Busch is, Kenseth ought to let Kurt go and open the door for him and follow him through.
Still following up on the earlier Well, they may be following up on it themselves on the earlier incidents. Greg Biffle and Robbie Gordon together on the racetrack again. Gordon now a couple laps down in 37th spot after the penalty. Bill?
Back in the garage with car owner Richard Childress. They parked Robbie for 2 laps. Richard, what happened?
I don't know. I just couldn't see it from here. I guess he got into the 16 or something.
Was there something going on between those two from earlier in the race? We were listening to his radio.
It could have been. I don't know. If it was, you shouldn't say anything on the radio.
Obviously, guys are racing for the championship. You've been there many times when your guys have needed some help. That's difficult to handle here for guys that got taken out.
Yeah, I mean, ask me again. I couldn't hear you.
It's difficult for guys that got taken out of the championship chase by what happened out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a bad situation anytime you're running for the championship, but it's 9 more races to go after this. Hope they get back in there.
All right. Richard Childress back in the garage, watching 3 cars out there, cannot listen to them all.
It's kind of tough on Richard. I mean, what's he going to say there, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And if he didn't see it, he doesn't have a comment on it.
It's just, you know, he's not driving the race car. And Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch still trying to work their way to the front. And still trying to work their way around Dale Jr. and pick up 8th spot.
Looks like the 17 and the 97 are a little bit better through the center. The 8 car seems like it's getting off the corners pretty good.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. The last 3 weeks for Junior have kind of been an example of his season. He had the win at Bristol, then they went and finished 34th at California, then they finished 2nd at Richmond last week. He talked earlier this weekend that of these final 10 races, his bid to win the championship was going to come down to 2, he thought. Kansas and Homestead. He figured they needed to improve their performance there, and he has slipped back those 2 spots now as Kenseth and Busch have finally gotten by. Marty, how about the 8 car today? What are they saying?
Yeah, if you'll notice, he can't keep his car on the bottom of the racetrack. Just radio to the crew. The car is starting to pick up a push, meaning it won't turn in the middle of the corner. While you know, your car won't turn down in the middle of the corner. You can't force it down there, so you kind of run a little bit higher on the racetrack so your car will work a little bit better.
Yeah, when you go into the corner, like you see right here, you got to get off the throttle, and you just got to wait for the car to stop sliding. Once the car stops sliding, then you can pick up the throttle. The guys like they're right in front of him, Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch, they're getting through the center of the corner better, so they can get on the throttle earlier, and that's why they can make the passes.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr. still running in 10th place. Back to the Robbie Gordon situation for just a moment. Robbie running 37th.
Got engine trouble in the 31 car, looks like. Was that a brake?
Not sure if that was a left front brake or...
Front brake smoke up on you.
Yeah.
Remember Richmond last week?
Fire, man, I'm telling you, I can't get in the corner at all.
Remember Richmond last week? He had locked up the left front going into one of the corners and had that big boil up.
Yeah.
So anyway, earlier, talked about monitoring his radio. We did monitor his radio, and this is audio we captured after the first of the 2 incidents with Greg Biffle.
Touch the front end of the knob, hit the rear corner just a little bit. I will get him.
You know, if you're going to do that, Robbie, I don't think I'd be saying on the radio, I'm going to get him. Yeah. You know, it just... And again, a little bit ago when he passed Greg Biffle, that was clean racetrack. If you're going to get him, wait to get on clean racetrack. Wait 100 laps. Get on clean racetrack. Don't take out Tony Stewart and Jeremy Mayfield.
Exactly. If you're going to do it, be smarter about it when you do it. You know, don't take other cars out. But, you know, why do you do it? Well, hey, when you think a guy took you out, that's the first thing your reaction is going to be, I got to get him back. And you know, I'm not saying that's the right or the wrong thing to do, but don't say it on the radio.
So Robbie, after serving his 2-lap penalty by NASCAR, continues in the race while Tony Stewart and Jeremy Mayfield sit behind the wall getting repairs made to their cars, now 30 and 32 laps down respectively, and back in 38th and 39th positions. Here are the 2 fast guys coming up through the pack. Kenseth and Busch, 7th and 8th places as they pick their way up through the field. Our Stacker 2, NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series track fact. 15 of the 19 races held previously here in New Hampshire won by drivers who were also in the top 10 in the championship. Good news statistically for the 10 chasers entering today's competition.
Well, as a matter of fact, 24 of the 26 races run this year has been won by the top 10 in NASCAR NEXTEL Cup points. So that usually is the cream of the crop, those guys in the top 10.
Cream of the crop today so far is Michael Waltrip. Out in front at lap 98, just about the 1/3 point of today's race. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. We come back live to New Hampshire as the caution comes out. Scott Wimmer has just been bounced off the wall in turn 4 and is trying to limp his car back around to the pit lane. He was running 20th.
The right front would be a good bulldozer, wouldn't it?
Yep. A little bit too much toe out. We got some help on that one by the 43 car or not. Can't really tell by that angle.
See, in slow motion, it didn't look like it was that hard, but a lot of damage to that right rear.
Not conclusive, but likely.
Yes.
Given the nature of racing here at this track. So yellow flag number 4 is out. Pit road is open for the race leaders. And let's see how many of them come in. Michael Waltrip will this time. Bill?
Kevin Harvick will be one of the first to hit. The car is good, needs a little help to roll through the center. He'll do that with an air pressure adjustment. It'll be 4 scuffed tires and fuel for the Goodwrench Chevy. Marty.
Elliott Sadler running fourth. The car tight when he hits the throttle. Pound in the right rear tire. Round of wedge out of the left rear. 2 tires for the 38, Matt.
Jimmy Johnson free in, tight to center, and free off. They've already made a wedge and track bar adjustment. 2 tires on his last stop, a little tug on the left front fender, Dave. He's gone.
Michael Waltrip didn't pit last time. What does he need this time? Just tires. He said, I don't want any adjustment. 4, having a little trouble, a little slow. Now he leaves.
In a hurry.
Yes, he's trying to get out in front of all these cars he possibly can, but he is going to lose a lot of track position.
Casey Kane first off pit road. Elliott Sadler second, then Kurt Busch third. I think we had a couple of more 2-tire only changers up front. We'll come back for the restart in a minute to New Hampshire. And we come back to New Hampshire with our Miller Lite NASCAR NEXTEL Cup race fact. Here's another of the 5 of 19 winners. 5 of 19 New Hampshire races started by drivers who took the green flag 31st or lower.
Wow. As a matter of fact, the last race was won by Kurt Busch, who started 32nd.
And the green flag is out again. New leader is Casey Mears in the target car. Did not pit under this caution. Guys running right behind him only took 2 tires on their stop. Casey Kane second, Elliott Sadler third, Kurt Busch fourth, Jeff Gordon fifth, Sterling Marlin sixth, and Ryan Newman seventh. First one who took 4 tires on the pit stop, Kevin Harvick, shown in 8th place.
That's a good way to get the lead. Just don't stop.
Yeah.
Work every time.
See how long you can stay there. Whoa! Who's that back here? Getting all kinds of sideways. Marlin.
There's a 12 car. Oh, trying to get on the inside of Sterling Marlin. Here comes Jimmy Johnson. Oh, on the inside of the 12. Jimmy is going someplace now. He's trying to.
And the former leader Michael Waltrip there in the middle of the soup here. After stopping this time and getting 4 tires. Michael back in 11th place.
Oh, Elliott Sadler trying to take over second from Casey Kane.
Not quite.
Man, that's a real can of worms back there with Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman, 31 of Robbie Gordon.
Oh, easy, boys.
Now, there you go. That's real nice. 4 wide at one time.
And while all that's going on, Tony Stewart's crew continues to make repairs as they get the car back onto the ground and get him ready to go back out onto the racetrack. It's a little intense out here right now, huh?
Yes, it is.
Clunk. There we go. Ricky Craven, Sterling Marlin. Got Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip in the middle of it.
Matt Kenseth.
Wow, that's close.
Tight. Tight. And up front, Casey Kane, Elliott Sadler racing for second and putting pressure on the leader, Casey Mears.
Elliott go by on the outside.
Yes, he did, and that was probably the smartest thing you could do to try to get on the outside of that 9 car and take his line away.
And let's not understate the value of those bonus points for leading laps that are going to play into this final total. Elliott Sadler needs, if he can here, to lead a lap and collect those bonus points. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon already have today.
Here comes Tony Stewart back on the racetrack. In the meantime, Elliott Sadler. Comes Casey Kane back, and here comes that 97 car.
Uh-oh, that's trouble for these guys. At 97, Kurt Busch
That car is working so good. Is he still happy with that thing, Marty? Because I'll tell you, it looks like it's driving great.
What do you think, Wally?
I think he's very happy.
I think if you were behind the wheel of this race car, you'd be a happy boy right now. And they decided to take 2 tires because Kurt said under the caution before they came to pit road, we had 30 laps on our tires, and the car just started to feel good. And Jimmy Finning said, message delivered. They didn't say a word about 2 tires on the radio. They took 2 tires on pit road. Trouble on the racetrack, Alan.
Robbie Gordon. And the caution flag is out.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see what happened here.
The difficult day continues.
Now, Robbie's bet was awfully loose, but I don't know if that was it
or if he got
somebody
helped.
made him loose.
You're right on it, Wally, because he had just radioed in that he was very loose.
Yeah. Well, let's see what the replay shows. As Robbie rejoins the traffic line.
Survey says.
Survey says the 40 car's coming off, not me.
Yeah, a little bit of a bump from the 40 car. And around goes Robbie. Now, if all things are equal, he's got to get the 40 car back, right?
But I bet you doesn't say it on the radio.
Another look at it.
I mean, Robbie was loose, but Sterling sealed the deal.
Yes.
So Robbie has been on and heading back off of pit road.
Remember when I said you get raced like you race, guys? Well,
Kind of got lucky. He spun down onto that paved area that's part of the infield road course here in New Hampshire. We saw Tony Stewart coming back out of the garage. Jeremy Mayfield has just done the same. Mayfield is 49 laps down in 39th place. Stewart 46 laps down in 38th place.
Here you go. Come on around.
Here's our Wrangler 5-star finish. Let's go back to Jimmy Johnson in this race a year ago. Watch this. Early in the race, his pit crew cleaned out when Michael Waltrip and Jeff Gordon make contact. Nasty looking crash. They got up, dusted themselves off, recovered the lost track position with some strategy later in the race, and Johnson went on to win and sweep 2003 here at New Hampshire. For more on Wrangler 5-star finishes, go to NASCAR.com.
Yeah, that was Corey Quick and Ryan McRae up on the hood of the 24 car, but you're right. They came back to pull it off, and Jimmy Johnson able to win. All right, here we go. Green flag about in the air. Elliott Sadler, the leader.
Casey Kane second, Kurt Busch third, Jeff Gordon fourth, Kevin Harvick fifth. There are 35 cars on the lead lap.
There's Kurt Busch. Boy, he dives in there.
He really drives down in the corner hard.
See how much lower he can run. That is the key here.
Jeff Gordon trying to take a look on the inside of the 97. What a pass this would be if he could pull it off.
Third place.
All right.
You know, when
here comes the crossover, maybe. Ooh, that's close. I think 29 just barely got into the back of the 97.
Kevin Harvick in that 29 car.
I don't think it was on purpose. I just think it's tight racing right there, especially on a restart.
And Kurt's car, once again, does not get restarted well. In a few laps, he'll be as fast as anyone, but the first few laps, and that's one reason he raced at 29 so hard to stay in front. So look, I don't want to get too many of these cars in front of me. I'll never get by them.
You know, I was about to say just before Gordon tried to put that move on Kurt Busch that
trouble up there, Jimmy Spencer. He was
like
way
a
off
flat
the
tire, maybe.
Yeah.
So Spencer off the pace. And there's Jimmy limping slowly around the racetrack, trying to figure out what's wrong.
What, 13th or 13th just then?
Yep. Dave, what's up?
Yeah, they definitely think it's a flat, Alan. They're going to come in and get right side tires on that 4-car ASAP.
All right. Here's a race for 6th and 7th spots. Ryan Newman went over 6th from Casey Mears. Newman in the 12, Mears in the 41. And a couple of other championship chasers in the middle of this. Johnson in the 48 and Earnhardt Jr. in the 8. Matty?
And all week long, Alan, Jimmy Johnson has talked about his biggest concern for the Final 10 is exactly what happened between the 19 and 20 teams, Tony Stewart and Jeremy Mayfield, getting hit by somebody else's bad frustrations. Right now, though, Jimmy Johnson is very pleased with that race car. Currently runs in the 9th position. Chad Knaus has made a lot of adjustments throughout the day to keep that car in contention. He says right now, it is the best it's been all day.
It looks good, Matt. 48 car we're talking about as we see Junior trying to get by Casey Mears on board with him. Oh, right up against him off turn 2. Oh, whoa. Nemechek, that 01 car right behind him.
Horsepower there, huh?
Oh, look at Junior get off that corner.
Don't forget, as you watch the scoring ticker come across the top of the screen, the drivers highlighted in the NEXTEL yellow are the 10 drivers in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup. Here are the standings as they run now in the race. Remember that they were all separated by only 5 points per position at the start of the day. And back through 10th place, of course, Stewart and Mayfield spending considerable time behind the wall and running 38th and 39th in the race.
Also have a race for 11th going on because this will be on stage in New York and worth about $1 million. And right now it's Casey Kane.
Yeah, that's changed during the course of the race. Had been McMurray when the day started. Sterling Marlin in 40. Looking for a spot on his teammate Casey Mears. That's going to be for 10th place. Matt Kenseth, Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip.
And Kenseth goes by Sterling on the outside. Now he'll try the 41 on the inside.
I think the 41 was right now is wishing he had some tires.
Casey Mears did not pit under that last caution when everybody else did. So Matt Kenseth trying to claw his way back into contention for the win here in New Hampshire today. While up front, Elliott Sadler is in command of this race. One of 6 different drivers who've led today, and of those 6 different drivers, 3 of them are drivers chasing the NEXTEL Cup Championship. Elliott Sadler, 29 years old, out of Emporia, Virginia, looking to see if he can be the one to hold the big trophy at season's end. The largest sports facility in New England, seating 91,000, is the New Hampshire International Speedway, built in 1990 by the Bear family, privately owned and operated, and every NEXTEL Cup Series race ever held here has been sold out. Today, the sellout crowd watching Elliott Sadler lead the Sylvania 300, barely, as Casey Kane and now Kurt Busch begin to put pressure on.
Yes, indeed. There's another battle. Earnhardt Jr. takes the spot for Jimmy Johnson.
It looks like the 48 car really gets going on fresh tires and struggles on used tires. Kurt Busch, the 97 car, struggles when his tires are cold and is really good on hot tires.
So Earnhardt Jr. up to a 7th place now, and Johnson back to 8th. Our Singular Wireless Race Talk poll got thinking back about memorable championship finishes. We're kind of all expecting this one might be one of those that we'll recall for a long time at the end of these 10 races. Which one's the most memorable to you? 85, Waltrip overcame Bill Elliott after Bill had won 11 races that year. 90, Dale Earnhardt overcoming Mark Martin, barely. 92, Alan Kulwicki over Bill Elliott and Davey Allison in that final race in Atlanta. Or 95, when Jeff Gordon beat Dale Earnhardt for the championship.
I got mine.
Give us a vote. We'll look it up. See what you have to say later on. Whoa! Speaking of Jeff Gordon.
And all of a sudden, Elliott Sadler leading the last time by, and this time he comes by in 3rd, about to lose that to both Gordon and Harvick.
Well, it looks like the 38 car may have picked up a push.
Here comes a big moment in this championship. There is a minimum time, a lap time, that you have to run in the race that's calculated based on a formula. It's basically 85. Well, it's too complicated to get into, but there's a minimum speed you have to run. Tony Stewart's not meeting it with his repaired car, so he has just been black flagged by NASCAR, and they have got to find a way to get this car up to speed. The minimum lap time here today is 32.17 seconds, and they did not do it.
And you can see the front of that car. It looks like a bulldozer. And I mean, you can't do much with a car like that. It's got no aerodynamics. It's going to really push bad.
And Kurt Busch going for the lead in the 97 car.
Watch right here through the center. Man, that car is hooked up through the center. That's as pretty as it gets.
I'm telling you. He's going to say probably, see you boys.
So that's something we've been expecting to see most of the day. Kurt Busch leading, and again, another one of the drivers in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup, collecting 5 bonus points toward the championship as he leads a lap right there. Troubles for Tony Stewart, sending him to the garage. Remember that NASCAR only allows a team once a damaged car goes behind the wall. One opportunity to get up to the minimum speed. They have not met it. Looks like Tony Stewart's done for the day. We'll hope to try and talk with him when we come back to New Hampshire, but you just saw Tony exiting his car in the garage. Not a good start to his chase for the NEXTEL Cup.
NEXTEL Cup Racing from New Hampshire on TNT is brought to you by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. The race is on. By Ford, the official truck of NASCAR. And by Autolite Spark Plugs. It's time to change your plugs. Some clouds moving over the New Hampshire International Speedway, but not for the leaders. Strong runs here by several of the big names in the sport. Meanwhile, all the stories are not on the track. Tony Stewart back in the garage after he failed to meet the minimum speed. This 10-race chase for the NEXTEL Cup is a little bit like baseball's World Series. That's 7 games. This is 10, but you never want to lose the first one. Unfortunately, that's the spot that Tony Stewart and maybe Jeremy Mayfield are in right now. Let's take you through the field. We'll start up front with the 97, and here's Marty.
Apparently, Kurt Busch has that position right now. He said he started chattering the nose early in this run. He said we have the right combination. Just takes a little while to come in. Car's starting to get a little tight off, Dave.
They fixed a problem for Casey Kane's car. It was getting into the turns. He radioed on lap 122. Really good getting into 3. The problem has been Kurt Busch, who passed him and put him back to second. Weber?
Kevin Harvick's had a strong run. He's actually on scuffed tires they used in a mock qualifying run here on Friday. But in traffic just a few laps ago, he got his fender caved in. Said you guys will have to pull it out when we stop. Marty.
Car's starting to get too tight for Ryan Newman. They took right side tires on lap 64, left sides on 104. Next stop, they will take 4 tires. That may be the last set of left side tires they take all day long. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rolling through the field very nicely. Car getting a little bit tight. He said the track is getting tighter. We have to keep up with that today. Joe Nemechek having a nice run as well. A little concerned about the water at 235 earlier. No great concern, though. Car was a little tight on the last stop. They went up on the track bar. Dave?
There's been a lot of discussion about track position here today. What does Jeff Gordon think? We heard this on the radio.
Doesn't seem to matter how good or bad your car is. If you don't have track position, you're just done. Got 10 more, so we're going to have to play it smart here and stay cool, build it up for the end to make sure we got track position, baby.
Jeff got 2 tires on his last stop to pick up that track position. The problem now may be with his brakes, according to what Jeff's been saying on the radio. He's been losing spots. Bill?
After the race at Richmond last week, Matt Kenseth in the 17 jumped on the radio when he hit pit road, said this is the car we're taking to New Hampshire. Robbie Reiser went into the shop on Monday, had the team start working on this car. They pulled the motor out of the car they were going to race here and put it in this. It's worked out so far so well for the 17. Matt?
And Bill, we've caught up with Tony Stewart back here in the garage area. And Tony, I know it's frustrating to use up your mulligan now, but especially over an incident like this.
I don't think any of us are getting mulligans. That probably just took us out of the championship. So that's racing. It's part of it. We got another car for next week, and we'll come out and try to get this Home Depot Monte Carlo and Victory Lane next week instead.
How frustrating, though, to rally this team now with 9 races to go after what happened today.
Well, it wasn't but 2 years ago we left Daytona 43rd and we came back and won. So it can happen again this year. But to try to make up that amount of points in 9 more races, it's virtually impossible. So well, I can promise you one thing, this team's never given up, and they're not going to give up now.
This former champion, you can see the smile on his face. He's trying to keep a positive tone to set the tone for this championship team as they're going to try to rebound, guys.
Kevin Harvick, the 29 car, going for second spot on the inside. And I tell you what, Tony handled that pretty well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he did, but, you know, like I said, I think if you have a race like this, it's going to be very, very tough to make it up in 9 more races, because you know 2 or 3 of these guys are going to run good every week, and that's going to be the tough deal.
Tony could come out of this race better than 140 points behind, for example, Kurt Busch, if he goes on to win the race. So in 10 races, that is a lot, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but it's different doing it over, 30-some races instead of 9 races.
I think they can all have a mulligan. But again, that's just my opinion.
Well, that's It's a big hole to dig out of, that's for sure. So Tony Stewart done on the day as we watch Kevin Harvick try and take second away from Casey Kane.
I don't know if I'd have him mess with that fender, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. If it's bent, it looks like it's bent the right way.
Yeah.
Because he is really fast. Looking at the scoring monitor, the last few laps, he's been as fast as Kurt Busch. He isn't now because he's behind the 9 car trying to pass.
Oh, boy, that was close.
Might have bent that fender some more there.
Kevin Harvick not in the chase for the Nextel Cup, nor Casey Kane. They're racing for that 11th spot. Heard the report on Harvick earlier saying he's just going to go out and try and win races these last 10. It's what he wants to do. So we gave you the top 9. As we continue to go through the field, Jimmy Johnson has moved up a couple of places since we left off. And Matt, I think you were going to report on Johnson when Tony stepped out of his hauler. How about telling us what's going on with Jimmy?
Jimmy's climbed to 8th, but he is still not very happy with his race car. The car has started to fade. He told crew chief Chad Canals it is really on top of this racetrack. The grip has gone away. His spotter, Chris Osborne, is trying to tell him where the other cars are running, so maybe he can try to adjust his line.
Ricky Rudd has been picking up spots. Last time they came in, just a little wedge adjustment to fix a loose-in condition for Ricky on the 21 car. 15 of Michael Waltrip. Just talked with Slugger Labby, his crew chief. Mired in traffic right now, but he's happy with his lap times. They didn't make any chassis adjustments last time. So far, it hasn't hurt them. Matt?
Sterling Marlin just climbed up to the 11th position. This is a guy who's really trying to end the season on a bright note. They haven't had the year they were hoping for. His best finish fourth on 2 separate occasions. He says the car starts out terrible on restarts, but it's not bad. A little tight, a little loose, Bill.
Very quiet, very focused. Mark Martin in that 6 car says the only thing he said on the radio is that the car is snug. Mark has won on 7 of the 10 tracks left, multiple wins on 5 of them, but none here. Matt?
Rusty Wallace, a former winner here in New Hampshire, says the car still not handling the way he needs it to be. Still trying to figure out what to do with the car. Marty is just still too tight.
Matt, it's not good when your spotter's saying inside, clear, inside, clear. Those are people passing Elliott Sadler. Wasn't that long ago. He was in the lead. Currently, he is in the 15th position, the 16th position, rather, the 38 car. Skipped one there because he just got passed by Jamie McMurray. The car a little bit better for Jamie. They had to make 2 stops on the last time. They had a lug nut loose on the left front. Car's not bad, just a little too tight for Jamie. Bill?
That's Jeff Burton driving that 30 AOL car. Car's working good low on the racetrack. So Jeff Burton trying to use that path to get his way back to the front. Dave?
Ken Schrader is restarted 22nd on lap 102. They made a 4-tire change. His car was tight to center off the corner. You think it's helped. Matt?
Bobby Labonte trying to put the past few weeks behind him, now just trying to zero in on that 11th position in the championship standings. Currently 19th. The car won't turn like a lot of guys. He just is way too tight through the center of the corner. Meanwhile, the 77 car, Brendan Gaughan, rounds out your top 20. He says the car starts off loose, then goes tight. It's very skitty. On the last stop, they put a spring rubber in the right rear. 4-tire change, guys, and he's down on the inside.
Boys are all over it, aren't they? Adjusting on the fly as these positions change hands and back in the garage and guys behind the wall. What an eventful race so far.
And something all of a sudden has happened to the 77 car. We'll have to keep an eye on him.
Almost looks like he's got a brake problem or something. He's really, really slow into the corners.
No problems right now for Kurt Busch. Out in front by 3.3 seconds as we have just crossed the midway point of today's Sylvania 300 presented by Lowe's. Kurt Busch entering the day 7th in the championship standings after winning here in July, hoping for the New England sweep to set him on the road to the Nextel Cup. TNT Sports live at New Hampshire International Speedway, where Kurt Busch is the leader at lap 163 of 300. Kurt, one of the drivers in the Gillette Young Guns program. The first micro-power shaving system from Gillette, the new M3 Power, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns. Pretty good day for that group of drivers here at New Hampshire.
Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Not bad at all.
6 of them running in the top 8 spots, huh? Pretty good. Kurt out in front. He took the lead at lap 135.
And the 41 car just ran out of gas. Ran out of fuel, and
he stayed out there.
Yep.
He didn't pit, so.
Last pitted at lap 65, and so.
And that's going to cost him.
100 laps later. There you go.
I'm surprised we're able to run 100 laps.
So, okay, well, he couldn't. He ran 99.
Exactly. 99. Yeah.
Coasted one.
Yeah. Kurt Busch putting Dale Jarrett a lap down, the 88 car. DJ back in 27th place. Pretty long green flag stretch here for these front runners. And Kurt opening his lead on Kevin Harvick now to 3.7 seconds. Kurt started in 32nd place in the July race here, led 110 laps, went to victory lane. He's been in the top 10 of the championship from the second race of 2004 on. Now, look at those two handsome gentlemen right there.
Good picture, I'm telling you.
It is a good picture.
Man.
And the best thing about it is Alan's not in it.
I appreciate the thought. If you go to NASCAR.com and you look for that fine photograph and click on the link there, you can ask Wally and Benny any question you'd like.
Come on now, Alan.
Things about racing preferably, but I mean, dietary habits can be included there.
Dietary, we know that's not going to work.
NASCAR.com, ask Wally and Benny. If you ask Kurt Busch right now, he's going to say Yahoo! Looking good at New Hampshire as he begins his chase for the NEXTEL Cup. Kurt, one of 7 different drivers who've led today. Now, one of the drivers who's led today, Jeff Gordon. But unfortunately for Jeff, he is not leading now. He slipped pretty good bit back in the field, Dave.
And they have been struggling, Alan. Just a few moments ago, Jeff radioed to his crew once again with not good news.
So I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm really bad getting in, especially if somebody gets behind me. I'm done. I can't even turn the wheel going in the corner, but as soon as I touch the gas, the front end just takes off.
Remember, Jeff entered the race as the championship leader, P1 in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup. Right now, he's dropped back to 4th as they run.
That arrow loose sounds like getting in, and then it's the throttle tight. That's going to be hard to fix.
It really is, and he said especially when someone gets behind him, it really gets him loose. In other words, the car is trying to spin out.
Check those championship standings as they run in the race.
Stewart takes the hit, 5 spots.
Tony and Jeremy Mayfield both spending time behind the wall. Stewart is done for the day now after his car not meeting the minimum speed. After repairs, and Matt Kenseth not done for the day. Rolling forward to take 6th spot away from Casey Kane. The defending series champion, Kenseth, starting in 5th position. And has played the track position game as well as everyone else today, and has himself up in the top 10 as we close in on 2/3 through the race. His Roush Racing teammate, Kurt Busch, has been the man in this last segment of race, though. How we got to this point in race 1 in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup, the top 10 in the championship, starting in the top 10 spots. After qualifying rained out, we went green on a chilly but sunny afternoon here in northern New England. Tony Stewart getting 5 bonus points for leading a lap early after Jeff Gordon got his 5 bonus points in the opening circuits. And then things got interesting.
Then the drama unfolded.
Greg Biffle gets in the back of the 31 car down in turn 1. Robbie Gordon in the 31 spins, goes up, make contact with the wall.
Oh, Robbie Gordon's going to do a little payback. Unfortunately, it takes out Jeremy Mayfield and Tony Stewart.
2 of the 10 drivers in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup. Both lost considerable time behind the wall getting repairs. Mayfield back on track. Stewart not able to continue after he was unable to make the minimum speed. He's done for the day. Elliott Sadler also getting up to lead a lap. Here's Tony coming back out. And Robbie Gordon's eventful day not done yet.
A little bump from Sterling Marlin off turn 2, and around goes Robbie. But see the 19 car back on the racetrack.
But Tony Stewart not able to meet the minimum speed, and he goes to the garage. Caution is out for debris, and here come the leaders onto pit road. Bill?
Kevin Harvick is in. It'll be 4 tires. The car is just a little snug. He thinks the fender has something to do with that. They try and pull that away, clean the grill, drop the car. We go to Marty.
Leader Kurt Busch wanted to turn better in the middle. Car a little bit too tight off a pad and both left side tires, Matt.
2nd in points, Jimmy Johnson. 7th on pit road. A track bar adjustment already completed, and wedge adjustment already completed. Dave, he was free in and tight in the center.
Casey Kane said, my car's still a little tight, but I wouldn't change much. They don't change anything on the chassis. 4 tires, and he's out of here.
A lot of guys took 4 tires that time.
I didn't see anybody not getting 4 tires, and given that we're at 123 laps to go and everybody will have to make one more pit stop, you pretty much had to here.
Yep, you're exactly right. You've got to now, because next time you might be able to play some games, but not this time.
Or if you go for green all the way from here to the finish, you'd just be doing the old splash and dash. Race off pit road, camera at the scoring line. Kurt Busch and his team holding serve.
Harvick, second spot.
Junior, Newman, Nemechek.
And Matt Kenseth, Ricky Rudd.
Good battle.
Easing over Casey Kane and Michael Waltrip there. So Kurt Busch continues to hold the top spot here in New Hampshire. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
This week's Built Ford Tough moment is a salute to the 4 Ford drivers who have qualified for the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup chase for the championship. Kurt Busch, 2 wins. Matt Kenseth, the defending champ, has won at 2 of the 10 remaining tracks. The sentimental favorite, Mark Martin, has finished runner-up for the chase 4 times. And Elliott Sadler, who has earned his first ever trip to New York City with his first ever top 10 season. 4 drivers making up almost half of the field for the chase for the championship. Right now, Kurt Busch, the Ford driver, leading the race right now, and his 7 guys that went across the wall got him out first.
Jimmy Fennick, crew chief, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Mark Full, front tire carrier, Washington, West Virginia.
Scott Ward, front tire changer, Clear Lake, California.
Scott Radel, Jackman, Massillon, Ohio.
Jason Banger, rear tire carrier, San Antonio, Texas.
Kevin Gilman, rear tire changer, St. Johnsbury, Vermont.
Doug Newell, gas man from Oxnard, California.
Jim Gaudette, catch can, North Conway, New Hampshire.
I'm Andy Ward, I'm pit crew coach from Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Got a couple New England locals on Kurt Busch's pit crew, watching their driver try and get away on the restart from Kevin Harvick.
3 wide down the corner, but they all made it.
Speed.
Now remember, on the last couple of restarts, Kurt has been slower getting going than some of the other guys around him. It's taken his car first a little while to get going.
And look at Junior, the A car goes by Harvick on the outside down in 1 and 2. Great move by the 8.
Junior may be the only car right now to give Kurt Busch a hard time. We'll soon find out.
Yep. This car was tested up here by Martin Truex.
Wow, see that big wiggle Harvick just had?
Yes.
Trying to hang on to third. Ryan Newman all over his back bumper. Harvick had all he could handle off turn 2.
Joe Nemechek right there. He's having a good run today in that 0-1 car.
Oh, here we go. And for the lead, Junior is there, coming down, and he might lead this lap. Did he? That was close.
Nope. Kurt Busch by 0.02 of a second that time, but Junior going to try and hold his way out front.
Crossover.
So if Junior can come back around, that's 5 bonus points toward the championship for him. Has not led yet today.
And we see Harvick has lost a couple more spots as the 12 goes by, 0-1 goes by.
So there you go. Junior collects his 5 bonus points. We look back at Kevin Harvick as he now struggles to hold off Matt Kenseth. The yellow 17 will be the next for a position.
Brian Pickett's a 25 car is a lap down to these guys.
And at the race for third with Nemechek in the 01, chasing Newman in the 12. Now, back to what I was saying before about Kurt Busch's car taking a few laps to get going after the restart.
Well, is this enough laps? Looks like it might be. Goes back by Junior. Crossover?
Yes. No, I don't know. I think what we've talked about the whole race, it takes some laps for Kurt to get going. Same as Ryan Newman.
I'll tell you what, the 97 car certainly does not want to see a green-white checker at the end of this race, does he?
Right.
Kurt Busch, Dale Jr. Marty Snyder's covering them both today.
I think that shows just how strong his car is. Talking about Kurt Busch, he actually was comfortable, Wally, about 30 laps into the run. He was able to go by Junior about 5 laps into this run. But the 18 knew the 97 was not as good at the beginning of a run. They talked about that before it went green. This is actually not the car they ran at Richmond last week. They were going to bring that car, but it was so damaged they had to bring a sister car. It's backup car, and I'm sure they're very pleased with the performance of it so far. They didn't expect this kind of a run, and they're awfully good.
Well, and importantly, he got those 5 bonus points. I think that means a lot right now to all these guys that are racing for this cup. Is get all the points you can. So,
well, think about it. 5 points times 10 races. That's 50 points toward the championship when we get down to Homestead. If you don't have them and the other guy does, it's a big hole to dig out of.
You lose.
Yeah. Napa Field summary on this race as we approach the 2/3 mark. 8 different drivers have led today. Of those 8, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have been drivers in the top 10 for the championship. Cars out of the race, most notably including Tony Stewart, retired in 39th place is where he'll finish today after he could not keep the minimum speed as a result of accident damage suffered earlier. So Kurt Busch holding court at the front of the pack with 112 laps to go in the Sylvania 300 in New Hampshire, presented by Lowe's.
NEXTEL Cup Racing from New Hampshire on TNT is brought to you by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. By Miller, who reminds you there's good enough and there's better than it has to be. Miller, good call. And by Wrangler, makers of Wrangler Jean Company, a new generation of Wrangler.
91,000 New England race fans watching Kurt Busch lead today as we approach the 2/3 point of today's race. Busch looking to sweep New Hampshire in 2004 and get his bid for the NEXTEL Cup Championship off on definitely the right foot.
This begin to be the thing to do here at New Hampshire. Last year, Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, swept both races. This time, Kurt Busch trying to do the same thing and looking pretty good at it.
Got a long ways to go, though. 104 laps left in this one. Singular Wireless Race Talk poll talking about how we expect this year's championship to go down as being quite memorable when we look back on it in the future, and asked your votes on some previous championships that you thought were memorable.
One I picked.
That might be the first time we've agreed.
Yeah.
Alan Kowicki winning in 1992 in that terrific 3-way season finale at Atlanta. When Davey Allison, the championship leader going into the race, got crashed, and then Kowicki and Elliott, the title hung on who led the most laps.
That's him. It came down to what? He led one more lap.
Then Elliott
did.
And won the championship. Ricky Rudd was running 8th a minute ago, Dave. That's not a good sight, what they're doing now.
Yeah, and he restarted 7th, Alan. They were having a pretty good day. Hadn't worked on it a lot as far as the chassis was concerned, but it's a motor problem. They went under the hood and confirmed motor locked up, not running anymore today.
That's too bad.
That is too bad because he really did have a good run going. I talked to Michael McSwain this morning, crew chief on the 21 car, and he felt like they are getting better. It looked like he was getting better. Michael Waltrip about to lose a spot to Jamie McMurray. That's for the 8th position.
Murray out in front of Waltrip now as they try and close in on 7th place, Casey Kane. So they've got a little distance to go before they'll catch the 9 car to try and grab that spot. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, 11th and 12th places, Matt.
Back on our Discover Card countdown to green, Wally, you documented how teammates try to help each other. The spotters for both the 48 and 24 have gone down to Brian Bicker's spotter, said, we need a little bit of help. As you can see, the 24 got by. Jimmy Johnson is now going to try to set up and make his way past the 25 as well.
Those are nice friends to have on the racetrack right now.
Now, that's not for position. Vickers is a lap down in 23rd place. And that takes away any question whether the teammate's going to help you or not.
Exactly right, because, and again, even if the 25 car wasn't a teammate, most guys would pull over and let those faster cars go by anyway.
So Jeff Gordon in 11th, Jimmy Johnson in 12th, running 9.6 and 10.1 seconds behind leader Kurt Busch, respectively. 2/3 mark of the race, lap 200 on the board here in New Hampshire. Kurt Busch is leading the way.
Kurt Busch continues to lead at the New Hampshire International Speedway, 27th race of the season. The chase for the NEXTEL Cup underway this afternoon when the green flag fell shortly after 1 o'clock. Let's take you through the field, check on the chasers, some of those guys outside. Snyder, your turn.
Okay, Weber, Jimmy Johnson swept here last year. Kurt Busch trying to do it this year. He said nothing about the chassis. He did comment on the fact that the cars around him are all better at the 1.5 tracks than him. He said, I thought we were supposed to gain points on these guys today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said, it's a little free, but that's all right with me. The car pretty good for Junior. They said ride around, take it easy, don't use up your stuff right now. Ryan Newman said the car is getting tighter each lap, started 2 free at the beginning of this run. Car is coming around for the 12 bunch. Same car that led led the most laps here in July and finished third. Weber?
Marty Matt Kenseth in that 17 car and his crew chief Robbie Reiser did a lot of race trim runs here on Friday to get ready for today. It's paying off. Matt says the car is just a little bit pushy. Robbie looked at me and goes, we're not very good today. I said, you're fourth. You're fourth. He didn't smile.
Yeah, Joe Nemechek's crew told me they wouldn't be very good today. And look, they're in fifth. However, these guys just lie all the time. They gambled on setup this morning. Car's been very good. They got a little bit of grill damage where they hit the 8 car earlier. The water's been up to 240, but the chassis has been excellent. Dave?
Casey Kane radioed his crew on lap 203. This car is the tightest it's been all day, but it's still turning pretty good. He's picked up 3 spots since the restart. Bill?
Happy Harvick in the 29 car, not happy on restarts. His car is too loose on the get-go, especially after they pit because of all the fuel sloshing around back there. They'll try and fix that. Marty?
Bill, Jamie McMurray came on the radio about 15 laps ago and said, guys, this car is just right. Very good for those guys. They fell back to 32nd earlier in the race when they left a lug nut noose, had to make 2 stops. Chassis just terrific. Dave?
Michael Waltrip hates traffic. He restarted 9th. He's still in 9th. They made a slight air pressure adjustment to try to help his car. It's tough out there among everyone else. 24 car of Jeff Gordon, not good. He radioed his crew on lap 200. I feel like I can just spin out in the corner. I'm so loose. They made 2 adjustments that were supposed to balance that car and help Jeff. They have not so far. Matt?
Dave, the track bar adjustment, they went down on the last stop to try to help his free on entry. The car now just plowing horribly through the center of the corner. Marty?
Elliott Sadler starting to creep his way back up through the field. Remember, they fell back earlier because the car was so tight. The car is still tight in the center of the corner. When he hits the throttle, it gets even tighter. Kind of hard to hold on to that, Matt.
Sterling Marlin, 13th, as the car is just sliding around. The front of the car is just sliding, will not stick. They're going to make a track bar adjustment and make an air pressure adjustment, Bill, in the left front on their next stop.
Matt, as Mark Martin told you on Discover Card Countdown to Green, this is the one track they're most concerned about in the 10-race chase. They're in the top 15. That's okay with them right now. I asked crew chief Pat Trison, you running all right? He goes, yeah, we're okay. We're going to be all right. By the way, Mark, a lot of static on his radio, having trouble hearing. Alan?
So there are 14 of the 22 cars on the lead lap, including 8 of the 10 chasers for the championship. The other 2, Jeremy Mayfield, 48 laps down in 36th place. Tony Stewart out of the race. He'll finish 39th today. Check the championship standings as they run on the racetrack. Look at that.
How about that? Junior in front by 5. Big lead.
Yeah, just a little bit. And the rest of the top 10, just told you about Stewart and Mayfield, who are going to lose a lot of ground and dig an early hole for their championship hopes here today at New Hampshire. And for that 11th spot and the $970,103 bonus that comes in the year-end point fund. That's close too. Kurt Busch leading, 87 laps to go. Another set of pit stops still to come. See what happens in this final third of the race. USA Today is the place for a comprehensive look at motorsports. Get all the latest stats, standings, and race results to keep up with your favorite teams and drivers. Pick up a copy of USA Today every day. Tomorrow morning's paper, you might see Kurt Busch's name atop the sports headlines as he leads here at New Hampshire with 81 laps to go. Kurt has led the most laps so far here today, possibly in position to collect an extra 5 bonus points toward the NEXTEL Cup Championship. That going to the driver who leads the most laps in a race. This last little period of race, Ryan Newman had been closing in on Kurt. Ryan passed Dale Jr. for second just as we went to that last break, but it's like when Kurt saw that white nose of that 12 car in the mirror, he hit the overdrive.
So now I think I better pick up the pace just a little bit, and he did. Was able to run about a tenth of a second faster, but he is right now. Kurt Busch in some pretty heavy traffic. Ryan Newman, we see no traffic around him, so he should be able to close in as Kurt works that traffic.
Terry Labonte just put a lap down by the leader Kurt Busch. Next up in front of him will be, who is that? Is that Todd Bodine?
Todd Bodine, yep.
In the 50.
And Casey Mears. Got Riggs.
Let's see, first lead lap car that the leader will catch will be the 45 of Kyle Petty. Kevin Harvick continuing to slip a little bit through traffic. He gave up 8th place to Michael Waltrip a couple of laps ago, and that was just 9th. He gave up to Jeff Gordon.
Not too much you can do when you're loose, especially loose getting in. What the 29 car is.
You have something we haven't seen today, Wally?
What I have not.
It's time. Alan, if you would, cue the duck.
I can do it, BP.
Time for the duck.
Our Aflac NASCAR NEXTEL Cup trivia question. The only driver to win New Hampshire after failing to qualify for the previous race of this season. The driver came here to this racetrack after not getting into the field for a race the week before and went to victory lane here the week following.
Robbie Gordon.
Very good, sir. We have a winner. Remember that the race in 2001 that was postponed from the weekend after 9/11 to the Thanksgiving weekend. Robbie had gone to Atlanta the week before and failed to qualify. He came here the next weekend, lined up 31st in a field set by points, and went on to victory lane.
A great victory that day.
So Robbie Gordon, the answer to our Aflac NASCAR NEXTEL Cup trivia quiz.
And there he is. You see some tape flying in the breeze.
Let's check on Jeremy Mayfield, who's back out on track in 36th place, Bill. He's running 49 laps behind the race leader.
Yeah, they went behind the wall early, Alan, after being caught in that on-track accident. But, I mean, the car's good. They did a lot of work on it. Great credit to the crew. Jeremy out there trying to get as many points as he can while his team director, Kenny Francis, watches from on top of the pit box. Now, Kenny's wife is pregnant, expecting their first child. She actually went into labor last week during the race at Richmond while she was watching it home on TV, but refused to leave her spot in front of the TV set while the 19 car was leading. Then she went to the hospital after the win. It was a false labor. She was going to have the child induced on Wednesday, but the hospital was so busy they couldn't do it. She promised the team it wouldn't be a factor this weekend. I called her at home in North Carolina this morning. She told me, her name is Rebecca, she told me that she had a talk with her baby girl this morning that's about to be born, saying, you can't be born today. Daddy will be home tomorrow. So Rebecca watching at home, a frustrating day for Kenny Francis, but like Jimmy Johnson talked about on the Countdown to Green, racing isn't everything, it's family that is.
Well, you know, it's so difficult, I think, for people to understand. You know, these guys that work on these race cars, it's so consuming. It consumes so much of their life. It's basically a 7-day-a-week job. And that balance for these people when these big events come along in their life like that is really difficult.
It is difficult because today Kenny Francis has to be here to help this 19 car get around the racetrack and try to win the race.
Kurt Busch out in front. 2.5 on Ryan Newman with 73 laps to go. Still got a final round of pit stops to come, and who knows what twist we'll see in New Hampshire. NASCAR on TNT at New Hampshire International Speedway, where Las Vegas native Kurt Busch is in search of his 3rd win of this 2004 season. Victory earlier this year here in New Hampshire. Also a victory in mid-spring, actually probably early spring you'd consider that, down at Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee. What a nice little slide there for Kurt.
Came off turn 2 just after putting the 43 car of Jeff Green a lap down. Jeff back in the 20th position.
Kurt just motoring away from 2nd place Ryan Newman in this last 10 laps.
Yeah, when he started catching traffic, I thought maybe that the lap cars would hold him up and allow the 12 car to catch him, but he worked in reverse. He was able to put some distance on the 12.
Sorry, go ahead, Warren.
I was just saying he's running such a different line than Bree. He can run so much lower. That's why he can get through the traffic so much quicker.
Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick racing for 10th and 11th. Matt Yoakum.
Back on lap 229, Jimmy Johnson climbed back into the top 10, battling traffic, battling a very tight race car. His crew chief Chad Knaus continues talking to him on the radio, pumping him up, trying to keep him motivated.
30-12. You can do it, buddy. You can get a couple more of these guys before we pit again. Doing all I'm doing. I don't find that. I know you better than that. You can find some more. 30-07. See there? That's a little better. Good job.
He just lost the 10th position back to Kevin Harvick. They're going to make their last pit stop somewhere around lap 265 to 269. They're already working on their game plan, what adjustments to make so they can have a chance for their 3rd New Hampshire victory.
I'll tell you what, if this thing goes green the rest of the way, they're not going to have much time for adjustments.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon racing each other for the championship. They are so close together as teammates. Their teams work out of the same building. They share so much information. What if it comes down in those last few races to between Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon for the title? It's a question his crew chief Chad Knaus has been asked a lot this weekend. We asked him too.
lot has changed, obviously, since we got into these final 10 races. We shared absolutely everything, but now that we've got to these final 10 races, I mean, an iron curtain's gone up. We're not going to tell each other anything. It's each man for himself, and that's where we're going to run it.
Right.
He tried to keep a straight face, but he couldn't hold it together.
He had me going there for a little bit. I thought he was being serious.
Basically, both of them said, we're not going to treat anything differently than we've treated it all year long. We prepare together, and then we go race.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Here's a fast race car on this last stretch of the race. Jamie McMurray in the 42.
He's been passing a lot of cars.
He just took 5th away from Casey Kane. So McMurray now 10 seconds behind leader Kurt Busch, in search of what would be his first win of this season. McMurray with 2 top 10 finishes and 3 career starts at New Hampshire, finished 7th this past July and 10th last September. You see he's been as high as 3rd and as low as 38th in this race. How about our Little Debbie lap leaders? Who has been out in front during this race today? Well, the guy leading now has been out in front the most.
Could be some more points for him.
That's right, 5 more.
Kurt Busch leading 103 of the 240 laps so far here today. His advantage over Ryan Newman stands at 2.5 seconds with 60 laps to go at New Hampshire. New Hampshire International Speedway, perhaps a development on the race leader Kurt Busch. A lap ago in that spot on the racetrack, he and Ken Schrader made some contact. Let's check it out.
Big contact.
There's him coming off the corner, and he goes up and lays against that left front, knocks that right front fender in.
Hopefully he didn't cut that right front tire, because that's a good way to cut it right there with the, see the fender of Kenny Schrader's car? Just sliced right across the front tire.
So watching Kurt to see how well he's able to maintain his pace and his advantage over second place Ryan Newman. Schrader is in 17th place, trying to stay on the lead lap at this point.
And right now, Kurt Busch is losing about a half second. Really won't be long as he goes by the 49 car.
Boy, he dodged a bullet there.
Kurt had radioed his team after that contact about wondering whether he might have a tire down, but obviously things appear fine because he's well up to speed at this point. So Kurt continuing to hang on to a 2.5 lead over Ryan Newman. Now let's check downstairs, Bill.
Alan, let's take you inside the field and look at some of the guys trying to work their way up so they can get in or through the field. Start with Jeff Burton in that 30 car. Got his first NEXTEL Cup Series start here a number of years ago. 4-time winner at this track. Used to be a championship contender, trying to get back on that track. Has struggled this season. Changed cars from the 99 to the 30. His wife, Kim, is not here this weekend. She's with her dad, Roger Brown, in Virginia. He's recovering from heart bypass surgery. As for Jeff on the track today, running fair, but on pit road, well, the pit board sign fell off the pole and he missed his pit stall earlier. Tough day for Burton, hoping to get things better. Marty. Bill, the 32 car, Ricky Craven is the driver today. He's making a swan song in front of his hometown fans, and what a better place to do it for Ricky. He had 2 wins in the 32 car. Currently, he's in the 23rd position. He said this is the perfect place to wrap things up with the tie team. I thought about whether this was right or not, but I didn't have to end ugly. This is the way to end it right. Dave?
Terry Labonte running 4 laps down in 31st. It hasn't been a good day after starting 23rd. When I talked to the team this morning, they took me back to last year saying, remember when we qualified second, wrecked the car in practice on Saturday morning, rebuilt that car, took it back into the race and had a pretty good run going. That's what they want to remember, but this is this year, not last year, and I guess they'll have to look forward to next year. Matt?
Dave, on the racetrack, Ricky Rudd and Terry Labonte are NASCAR's Ironman, but here on pit road, today marks a huge milestone in the career of Pete Wright. Today is his 1400th NASCAR NEXTEL Cup Series race. He started back in 1970. He's won a title with Terry Labonte. He has worked with the who's who of NASCAR racing. And he told me today, even though it's number 1400, it's just like any other race. And Alan, I think everybody is a Pete Wright fan, and I think we even have a Pete Wright fan club card, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a member of the Pete Wright fan club. He told me I was one of 4 but
I'm one, so there's 5.
There's 5. Okay, well, we're official card-carrying members. See,
Absolutely.
this is my Pete Wright Fan Club official poster here that I've got in the booth.
Uncle Pete to some of us.
Is there any truth to the rumor that he changed tires on Ben Hur's chariot?
I wouldn't doubt that, but, you know, folks, remember that these guys, it's honorary memberships, no money passed hands.
That's right.
Pete is one of the bedrocks on which that 0-1 team is based. Got pit stops coming up around the corner, so let's take a break. We'll come back and get ready for the action on the pit lane. Well, I wasn't kidding when I said green flag stops were about to begin. 44 to go. Kurt Busch is in, Marty.
They start now with the leader. A lot of debate as to whether or not to take 2 or 4 tires for the 9017. They decided on 4. That would be the best way to win the race. Half pound of the right rear tire, half round of wedge in the right rear. That means his car too loose coming off the corners. He's already away.
That's good stop, but by Kurt Busch, the leader, making the early move. That gives guys behind him that haven't pitted yet a strategy option. Dave?
Kasey Kahne trying to make a move on the track bar. It goes up. His car was tight, and so they wanted to make that track bar adjustment. 4 tires also for Kasey Kahne. Bill?
It will be 4 tires for Matt Kenseth as well. Has an easy exit. Is going to have to watch for Mark Martin, who's going to slide right in front of him. The 17 is down. The 6 is on pit road. They talked about doing 2 tires and an air pressure adjustment. Working on the right side. Come around to the left. Let's see if they go with 4. It'll be a 4-tire stop for Mark Martin as well. So the leaders in the chase all taking 4 tires here at New Hampshire. 258 laps and 300 on the 40s on his way.
Michael Waltrip on and off pit road. Right side tires only on the 15 car. Jeff Burton is in. Bobby Labonte is in. Sterling Marlin has come and gone from his pit stop. And the leader of the race is Ryan Newman after Kurt Busch came to pit road a moment ago. So we'll keep an eye on this 15 as Michael Waltrip took just right side tires on his pit stop.
She's going to blow up. 10-4.
Is that Ryan Newman?
Pit this lap. Guys, left side tires.
And he's going to change just left side tires. We heard Matt Borland say that should get him some track position. I saw some smoke. Did I see smoke?
Yep,
Yes.
it is blowing up.
Marty.
The lap before, Ryan, it came on the radio and he said something's wrong with the engine. Then he came on and you heard it all. He said it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. They were going to take 2 left side tires on the stop, hoping to get track position. And he just came on the radio, said, I'm coming down pit road, guys.
Wow.
That's not good.
Got a Dodge Carl Edwards as Carl leaves his pit. Ryan Newman in. They go for the left side tires as Marty reported.
And we see the smoke.
Oh, listen to it while he revs it.
Yeah, that's done.
And he stalled the engine because he just doesn't. And we see a tire on pit road right in front of Jeff Gordon.
So Newman's gone. Jeff Gordon is in. Jamie McMurray is now the leader.
I can't believe that 12 car is going to last the rest of the race.
Go ahead, Dave.
Jeff Gordon's car was very, very loose. They're going to make a wedge adjustment. Wrench going in the left rear right there. Going to take 4 tires. They debated with 2. Decided it was better to give Jeff a car that would handle to the end of this race the track position at this point. He's gone.
Marty. Jamie McMurray was about the fastest car on the track that time. So they take 2 tires for track position. They know they have an excellent car. They didn't touch the chassis at all.
Tell you what, that could get him some spots there.
Kevin Harvick is the leader. Jimmy Johnson second. Ken Schrader third. Haven't pitted yet. Here comes Harvick with 38 to go. Bill?
And a good break for Kevin Harvick. Brian Vickers left just in time, so he has an easy in, easy exit. This is supposed to be a 2-tire stop. 2 right side tires, fuel. Adjusted it with air pressure. That's all he took. He's gone.
All right, so the leader's now Jimmy Johnson. Not yet pitted. And he's going to bypass the opening to pit lane, this time by Johnson. After he pits, it looks like it's going to cycle back around to Kurt Busch.
With 4 tires. And the 12 car is just about done.
Yeah, very, very slow down the front straightaway. Uh-oh, more smoke.
So one of the 10 drivers chasing the NEXTEL Cup Championship is going to come up about 35 laps shy of the checkers.
So we got to pull it in. 4 coming in.
Wow.
Tough break. And Jimmy Johnson, the leader, is now on pit road.
So Jimmy stopping with 37 laps to go. His pit all the way down at the turn 1 end of the pit lane. and he'll come to the attention of the crew. Matt?
The two-time New Hampshire winner pulls his car to a stop. You can see the wrench going in the back window. His car over this past run was just plowing like a truck. He said he just could not turn this car in the center of the corner. Left side tires going on. They were hoping that they were going to get a caution when Ryan Newman's car was smoking. And also remember, we told you earlier, the 77, Newman's teammate, he was having motor issues as well. Could the two be next?
Well, we'll see. 36 laps to go. Johnson rejoins. That completes the cycle of pit stops among the leaders and puts that 97 car back out in front. He got the 4 tires and held on to the lead. That big lead he had over a lot of those guys was the difference.
And another Roush car has come off pit road in second spot, Matt Kenseth, and he's 3.8 seconds behind Kurt Busch now. Jamie McMurray with that 2-tire stop will move into third spot.
And Michael Waltrip with 2 tires in 5th.
So how has that shaken up the championship standings? By the way, Kurt has clinched the bonus points today for leading the most laps. He will get those points on this day. And now Newman getting an early hole to dig out of in his bid for the championship, as he has gone to the garage and at this point shows 29th. He's probably going to finish around 34th, 33rd or 34th by the time it's all done. Ouch. Yeah, that's all I could say there. So the first round in the chase for the Nextel Cup has been eventful, and it's not over yet. 33 laps to go. Kurt Busch is out in front. Sun-splashed afternoon here in Loudon, New Hampshire, just to the north and east of the state capital of Concord, where a sellout crowd has been watching the Sylvania 300 presented by Lowe's. Kurt Busch is commanding the lead of this race, is the word I meant to use. He's got a 4.5-second lead on Matt Kenseth with just 27 laps to go. The race looks like it's shaping up for second right now, as Kenseth is trying to defend his turf there from Jamie McMurray.
Tell you what, and never see the 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield. He's several laps down after involved in a crash. And there we see, there's a 17:42. This is the battle for second spot, and it is very heated.
Remember that McMurray just got right side tires on his final pit stop there, BP, with 39 laps to go.
Yep, get that track position, and he's pretty fast with those 2 rights.
Jamie McMurray, 4 straight top 10 finishes coming into this weekend. 4th, 7th, 4th, and 9th. Of course, the disappointment on his face at the end of the Richmond race last Saturday night when they developed a late engine miss and wound up missing out on the chase for the Nextel Cup by
15 points.
15 points, yeah. Pretty good day. Oh, caution. Caution has just come out for debris on the back straightaway. And the yellow flag with 25 laps to go. Wow, now let's see what happens. Meantime, Ryan Newman comes up short in his opening chase for the Nextel Cup bid. Bill?
And Ryan, I know you're disappointed. Any indication as to what happened?
Man, we went out on top. I'm disappointed in one respect, but man, I think the car was awesome. Just something in the motor. I think it was something in the bottom end because lost a few things I shouldn't have. But just a good day for our Altel Mobile One Dodge. Guys did an awesome job, pit stops and everything. Tried some strategy there at the start of the race, 2 tires and 2 tires and a bunch of other stuff. But once we got 4 tires on it, that went to the front and had a good, really long run car. But we'll just smile and go on.
It's a 10-race chase, 1 down. You take a hit here. How much does that hurt?
If we can do what we did today at the rest of the 9, then they better watch out.
Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
There you go, Ryan Newman. Positive attitude despite his troubles here today at New Hampshire, which will probably see him finish either 33rd or 34th. Kurt Busch leads, 24 to go. Anybody going to stop? Find out in a minute.
Nextel Cup Racing from New Hampshire on TNT is brought to you by new Prestone all makes, all models, extended life, antifreeze coolant. Trust Prestone for your own protection. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By Capital One, what's in your wallet? And by Aflac, ask about it at work.
22 laps to go here at New Hampshire. Kurt Busch, the race leader, and most of the front runners chose not to pit under this yellow flag, but of the 16 cars on the lead lap, 4 of them did. Elliott Sadler, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, and Ken Schrader from 12th to 16th positions came in, got fresh tires.
Had nothing to lose.
I thought that was very good strategy.
The problem with this is they're going to start double file, and you've got a lot of cars a lap down. So those guys that came in and changed tires, they got a lot of traffic they have to get through.
Well, that's right. If you start 12th, then if you're a 12th place car, then basically you're going to restart 24th.
They basically came out in the positions they were running, so they did have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But picked up, what, maybe 15, 20 laps fresher tires on these guys that are trying to race. Championship standings as they run. Kurt Busch looking like he will take the championship lead if he's able to hang on for these final laps.
And we know that his car does not run that well for the first few laps after a green flag, so we'll see.
And you say, how can Newman be behind Stewart? Well, Stewart was ahead of Newman at the start of the day. And the race for 11th, Jamie McMurray hanging on right now.
Marty said during commercial, the McMurray may have flat spotted one of his tires
Now those two
during
up
that pit
there,
stop.
They're in the championship deal, so if you put some heat on them, they might give you the spot.
That's a radio from Jamie McMurray.
So he may have a little bit of a vibration.
So at the 42, yeah.
Referencing Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch in front of him. Let's hear from the crew chief for Matt Kenseth. Is that Bill?
Robbie Reiser, can you catch the 97?
This is 97's track. I don't know if we can do it, but you know, I'd be glad if we could hang on to what we got or give the 97 a hard time. But they're our teammates, and they've done a great job today. They've got the dominant car, so we'll see what goes on in these last 20.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Marty.
Robbie Reiser says, this is your track, Jimmy Finning. Can you keep the 17 behind you?
Well, we need the thing to stay green. We should be able to. So it's looking good.
Kurt said we did not want that last caution at all.
I agree with that.
Remember, the theory on the day has been that Kurt's car takes a little longer to get going than maybe some others he's been racing with.
Good thing here, though, is if Kurt can get by the 25 car. Is that the 25 cars down there and the first one a lap down?
Ready, green flag, green flag.
That would be an advantage to him.
Well, he got by, but also the 17 got by.
That's not going to help.
I think Vickers let them all go.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just, hey, I'm not racing for
But
the
now
one
these
thing you
guys
are.
are racing, so that is going to help Kurt Busch right there.
Battle for second spot. Oh, 42 try to drive up under the 17 off 2.
McMurray not able to pass Kenseth for the spot. He continues to apply the pressure.
This is going to really help Kurt Busch because all of a sudden Matt Kenseth has to be a little bit defensive rather than so much offensive.
And here comes Dale Jr. into that picture, 4th place in the 8 car. As McMurray tries for second, Marty.
Yeah, he's trying to get that position from Matt Kenseth. A little bit of concern on the 42 stop. They came down pit road, took the 2 tires that we've talked about, but when he slid to a stop, he may have flat spotted the left front tire. He says he got a pretty significant vibration right now.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. A flat spotted tire, just what you'd imagine it would be if you lock the brakes up and the tire grinds along the pavement in that one spot for a few seconds. It takes the tire out of round, basically. It's a flat spot. It just goes thump, 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 thump while you're driving. Except there at 100 and something miles an hour, it goes a lot faster than I can talk.
And it doesn't, and it won't turn. It won't turn very well.
So Kenseth moves away from McMurray a little bit. And now Junior try to see if he can get 5 points toward the championship by taking a position from McMurray. That would be 3rd.
You know, I talked to all 10 drivers in the chase for the NASCAR NEXTEL Cup and asked, okay, exclude yourself. Who do you think is going to win this thing? And you know, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth did not come up on the radar screen. It was Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and Mark Martin.
Well, I think Mark's probably sentimental if you ask those guys, but after today, it could be anybody.
Well, that's right.
They've been following things for you all day, like the drivers in the Nextel yellow on the ticker, being the drivers that are racing for the championship and so on. As we go through this chase for the Nextel Cup, you can log on to NASCAR.com, and on the pit command section, you can follow the points every lap as they run, follow where the top 10 drivers are on the track at any given moment. Plus more exclusive content. You can check it all out at NASCAR.com or on AOL.
We see Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, I just talked about them, are trying to gain some more points as they go by Kevin Harvick. Here comes Elliott Sadler, also trying to get some more points. He's on the inside of Carl Edwards. Now Sadler stopped. He has fresh tires.
That's a problem, though. You can't get through these guys. Cars running side by side in front of you, all around you.
See Jimmy Johnson doing everything he can to get past Kevin Harvick, but Harvick's holding strong on the outside.
So Jeff Gordon moves up to 8th place, and now racing for 9th, 29, 48, 38, Harvick, Johnson, and Sadler. Matt?
Under that last caution, Chad Canales, as Jimmy Johnson's trying to work the inside of the 38, Sadler was telling Jimmy, you had the fastest car of anybody over that last run. In fact, you turned the fastest lap of the race. Jimmy said, I just wish we had 100 laps to do it instead of 20.
Yeah. A little late for that.
Tell you what, Elliott Sadler stopping getting those 4 tires has really been a good move because he's picked up 4 or 5 spots.
Junior wants those 5 points. 3rd place will get him over 4th. Working on Jamie McMurray for the spot with 14 laps to go, now 13 to go.
He's going to get it. Looks like he has it.
So Junior to 3rd, making the patrons wearing red happy.
Tell you what, that's a huge, coming as poorly as they ran here in the first race in this 8 car. You know, Junior had his problems. Truex Jr., Mark Truex Jr. was a relief driver for him, but they really struggled with the car. But they really run well here this afternoon. I'm impressed with the job they've done.
And don't forget, if you don't remember the story, Dale Jr. burned in a sports car race the week before, came here to New Hampshire, really couldn't drive from the severity of his burns. Martin Truex did the practicing and the qualifying. Earnhardt Jr. started the race, ran the first 59 laps, got out. The relief driver got in, and then got bumped and spun in another accident. They finished 31st. You can think of 100 times during a season where they lost points that could be big for a championship, huh? How about the 8 car, Marty?
Yeah, you talk about that July race and just what a setback that was for this 8 team. And then Monday they decided they couldn't bring the car they wanted to bring here. This is not the car they wanted to bring again. The sister car to the one that won so many times at Richmond and Phoenix, places like that. Tony Eury Jr. told me this morning, if we get a top 10 out of today, I'm very happy. Currently running in 3rd. I think they're going to be extremely happy with this at the end of the day.
And when Earnhardt Jr. made the pass on McMurray for 3rd place and picked up those 5 points, check it out. Because Kurt Busch started the day with 20 more points than Earnhardt Jr., Curtis led the most laps, the difference in their finishing positions and so on. It balances out tied. The tiebreaker goes to Dale Earnhardt Jr. by virtue of 4 wins this year to 3 for Kurt Busch if he holds on to win today. Jimmy Johnson, something up there, Matt?
A lot of concern in the voice of Jimmy Johnson. Came on the radio 4 laps ago, said something is wrong. Chad told the guys to get up on the wall. Said, what is it, Jimmy? Goes, I don't know. The car is just big time loose now. Very loose. He's trying to hold on. They're hoping it's not a tire going down.
Wow. 9 laps to nurse it around. Going to lose a spot there. Check that, Bobby Labonte not on the lead lap, so that will not be for position. Next car Johnson will have to worry about for a spot, and those precious points would be Sterling Marlin, the 12th place runner.
Who is not that far behind him. There we see the silver car.
Lap down, buddy. Let him go.
Yep, let him go. Be faster if you get back single file.
Now to 4th place, and McMurray slipping back into the clutches of Casey Kane in the 9.
Casey Kane's car gets through the center much better than the 42 of Jamie McMurray.
Casey got up and led early in this race a couple of times for 31 laps, but really it's just kind of been in the middle of this group ever since then.
And both these cars are battling for that 11th position in NASCAR NEXTEL Cup points. Win is one thing, but 11th is awfully important.
So things we've seen today. We saw Tony Stewart and Jeremy Mayfield get caught up in somebody else's mess. Ryan Newman went out with an engine failure. And Kurt Busch and Matt Kenseth and now maybe even Earnhardt Jr. running 1, 2, 3 today here at New Hampshire, leading us to round 2 in the 10-round chase for the NEXTEL Cup. Next Sunday, Dover, Delaware's Monster Mile, 12:30 Eastern Time. Our coverage begins. We hope you'll be with us for that. Mark Martin, winner at Dover back in June. Remember the Dover race in June with the Ryan Newman spinning coming onto pit road and the confusion there, and then the Jimmy Johnson and Casey Kane and Matt Kenseth all getting caught up in that wreck.
When there was oil on the racetrack and the 9 car leading the race hit the oil, I remember that.
Yep. So leader of this race, Kurt Busch, less than 5 laps to go. Kurt Busch began racing at the age of 14. Came up through what they called dwarf cars and then got into local racing out in Las Vegas with his family.
Dwarf cars very similar to the Legends cars.
Fun
cars, yeah. Elliott Sadler get in another spot. That's the 8th position. Well, those 4 tires have really helped him out.
Michael Waltrip slipping back a spot there. Jimmy Johnson still hanging in there in front of Sterling Marlin. Nothing's changed there. And Elliott Sadler with a good solid points day on the day if you can't win the race.
Boy, Elliott, I don't know if he'll catch Jeff Gordon or not. That's the next car ahead of him.
Restarted 12th with 20 laps to go. And he's running now 8th. So definitely the 4 tires worth it for the 38 car. And Todd Parrott with a good call. Jeff Gordon there, the gap from him back to Elliott Sadler as they race into these final few laps. Kurt Busch already crossed the stripe for 3 to go. Now 2 to go as he comes past, and the white flag will be next time for Kurt Busch. Going to be a dominant day if he can hang on for this next lap and a half. He'll have led 155 of the 300 laps today. Maximum points.
Next year we got to make him start last. That's all there is to it. When you sweep a racetrack in the season, next year you got to start last.
And a white flag. Final lap at New Hampshire for Kurt Busch.
I think the big advantage for these guys was that nobody did get practice. Nobody could tune their cars in, and these guys had a great race car, so they didn't have a whole lot to do.
Even though he led 110 laps and won the race in July, his crew chief Jimmy Fennig told me this morning they weren't satisfied with the car. They thought other people will have caught up to them since then. They made some changes based on their experience and their knowledge, and obviously they were the right changes to have made. As Kurt Busch sees the checkered flag and begins his chase for the NEXTEL Cup with a victory. Matt Kenseth second, 2.5 seconds behind. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will finish 3rd. Casey Kane and McMurray rounding out the top 5. While Ryan Newman will finish 33rd. Tony Stewart 39th, and Jeremy Mayfield 35th. Maximum points on the day for Kurt Busch and his team. Marty?
What a terrific run for the 97 bunch. Benny says next year you have to start last when we come back to New Hampshire.
We'll still get to the front fast. I'll tell you, Kurt Busch is awesome. That guy, when he gets up on that wheel, he gets up on a wheel. This Irwin pit crew, I'm telling you, got the stops we needed, and it ended up being a good day.
A New Hampshire sweep for Kurt Busch.
3rd win of 2004 for Kurt. Show us how it's done. There you go. So we'll hear from Kurt when he rolls into New Hampshire's victory lane, as well as some of the other top finishers in a minute. Back to New Hampshire for post-race after this.
NEXTEL Cup Racing from New Hampshire on TNT is brought to you by new M3 Power from Gillette, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns. By Yamaha, makers of cutting-edge motorcycles and tough-as-nails ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. And by Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
The first of the 10 races in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup has been run here in New Hampshire. And welcome to the NEXTEL post-race report as we get set to talk to the top finishers in today's race. We'll start in victory lane, Bill.
And Kurt Busch knows this very well. The sweep at New Hampshire, and he climbs out of his car in victory lane. The first winner in the 10-race chase for the NEXTEL Cup. A big celebration. Kurt, first of all, congratulations. You told me when you got out of the car here in July that this is the race that could send you into the chase, and it has.
It was a great race for us back then, and this time around, it's great to be able to execute like that, to bring a car that you just put underneath a car cover and to have the full team effort, to have that adrenaline running, knowing that we had a shot at victory. and being able to put it all together, because you can overlook so many things so quickly, and this is a great way to execute week 1 for us.
After you won, you said when you put a cover on a car, you never know what's going to happen when you take it back off, do you?
Don't know, and these guys do an awesome job. Urban Industrial Tools, this puts them on the map. This is 2 wins for them. We had our win earlier with Sharpie. Newell Rubbermaid has done a fantastic job with our program, and I can't thank them enough. And just all the support that we get, but it's behind the scenes, being able to work our way into this top 10 and have that security, and now we get to go and attack it. It's a whole different feeling, a whole different format.
How about that contact with the 49?
Yeah, I was underneath Schrader and just took a lap and a half, and it just looked like he came down a little bit. I was pushing up a little bit at that point. I wish I could have took more time, but it just seemed like the guys behind were catching us, and I just needed to go. But just no big deal. We pulled the fender back out and got back going.
Earnhardt has one more win, but you are tied for number 1 in the points.
That's an awesome feeling. We know we've got a lot of work ahead of us. This was a racetrack we had to jump on. We won here back in July. I think we're going to be good at the flat mile like Phoenix. We're going to go test Martinsville, so that's the flat tracks. Now we've got all these bank tracks we need to run hard on. And I know Bristol, but it's not in the final 10, so we'll see how we do. This is an awesome day for this crew and this team, just being able to do this. All the guys back at the shop, this engine is on the rev chip, and I can't tell you how high it was, but it was awesome power.
Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thanks. You got it.
Okay, Kurt Busch wins at New Hampshire. Dave?
His teammate Matt Kenseth finishes second. Matt, after finishes in the 20s the last 2 races, how big is this?
It was a good run for us. We ran this good last week. We just, had an error and didn't get that good finish. So I'm real happy for the DeWalt guys. I wasn't a big fan of this playoff thing when it started, but it was pretty exciting today. And, it's time to go racing. And I think my team is up to it. They stepped up to the plate today and didn't make mistakes and had great pit stops. Gave me a good car, and it wasn't near as good as 97, and we ran second to him. So it's a pretty exciting day. All the guys in the top 10 seem to finish pretty good today. So I can't wait to go to Dover. Hopefully we can pick up a win there.
Matt finished 4th here in July. He betters that by 2 here today. Marty?
A New Hampshire career best for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He finishes 3rd and looked like you were a little bit faster than Matt Kenseth at the end of the race. Just couldn't get to him.
Yeah, he was a little far ahead of me there to catch him, but he might have just been conservative on getting his 2nd place finish. Kurt was way better than everybody else. Congratulations to him and his team. Just real happy with the run. It was a good car. We guessed really on the setup, and Tony Sr., Tony Jr. really did good, and I'm real proud of him.
And a good points day. That's top 3 finishes in the last 4 races for Junior, Matt.
A very solid run for Jeff Gordon. It wasn't pretty, but it was the top 10 you needed.
Yeah, it was. We did what we needed to do. We weren't great. We took off there at the beginning, led some laps. I was real happy with that. And just started getting real loose in from there and fought it all day long. So, we were back there quite a ways at one time. And, robbing the guys, they just did a great job continuing to fight, great pit stops. And, that's what we got to do every weekend. Looked like we, had a top 10 run, and caution came out. We were fortunate we had 4 tires on at that time and made up a few spots.
Jeff Gordon leaves New Hampshire 3rd in the championship standings, now just 9 markers out of the lead.
Casey Kane with a 4th place finish here today. Casey, your car was not great all day, but you battled through some problems.
It was up and down. When we were out front for a while there, our Dodge Steelers, your AW Dodge was pretty good. And there at the end, we had 4 tires. Some of the other guys had 2. And we had worked on it all day. Tommy did, and it was pretty good. It was nice to do that after a disappointing last week. Everybody's worked so hard, the guys at the shop and everything, for all season long. So it's nice to get another top 5.
Well, he said it, guys. After last week, good for these guys to get in this top 5. Marty?
A 5th place for Jamie McMurray, and you had that vibration at the end. How much did that hurt?
Well, we put 2 tires on because we needed to make up some track position. I think that Donnie made a really good call at the end to do that. But when I came in and made my green flag stop, I locked the left front up real bad. And mentally, it was killing me. I was just so worried about blowing a left front tire out. And then, we had that caution. 2 tires, it's not going to beat 4 tires. And I couldn't race any harder than what I was. And just kind of hanging on there at the end.
5th consecutive top 10 finish for Jamie.
So you have heard from the top 5 finishers today, plus the championship leader starting the day, Jeff Gordon. And as the fans begin to file out from here at New Hampshire, let's take a look at the way they ran.
Nemechek ran solid all day and pulled off a 6th place finish.
Terrific run for Joe.
Michael Waltrip with a top 10. Kevin Harvick as well with a nice bounce back week after his disappointment of the last couple.
And there Mark Martin, we see him back in 13th. The guy said he's got a shot in. He won the race at Dover, so look for him to gain some points next week at Dover, Delaware.
Lead lap finish for Schrader.
Ricky Craven and the final tide ride for him.
Craven goes on to other things for beyond this week. And the disappointing days for some in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup Championship still to be shown.
Yeah, way back here. There they are.
Ryan Newman, 33rd. Mayfield, 35th.
Tony Stewart, 39.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the first few drivers out of the race in the early laps. Bodine, Shelmerdine, and Christopher. So, the championship standings. Because of the differences in the points they had starting the day and Kurt Busch gaining the most laps led bonus and so on, they're tied after this race. Earnhardt Jr. gets the tiebreaker, most wins. But look at it, 9 points to third, 10 to fourth, 71 to seventh. And then the guys who got a little bit of a hole dug today by having those troubles. Back to 142 points to Jeremy Mayfield. And the race for that 11th near $1 million bonus, still a pretty good one.
Casey gained only 8 points out of 11th spot. He gained 7 on Jamie McMurray this week. Kevin Harvick had a good run. He gained a little bit.
And so that's how the numbers look at the end of the day, how they came to be that way. Qualifying rained out top 10 drivers starting in the top 10 spots when we went green a little after 1 Eastern time. This was the first of 2 connected moments that turned the day for Tony Stewart and Jeremy Mayfield.
Yeah, 16 got in the back of the 31 and spun him out. Here we see the 31 go up and get in the back of the 16, spin him around, and he got into 19, Jeremy Mayfield. And along comes Tony Stewart and plows in to the 16.
Resulting in their poor finishes. Robbie Gordon's problems continued when he got bumped by Sterling Marlin and spun on the back straightaway. Tony Stewart not able to meet the minimum speed. To the garage, done for the day after his repairs on that car. And another one of the chasers in trouble late.
Engine trouble. That cost him.
And for Kurt Busch, he led 155 of 300 laps and went to victory lane. Dave?
Mark Martin with a 13th place finish moves up to 7th in the chase. Mark, how was your car today?
We weren't very good today, but we were pretty sure we weren't going to be. So we weren't quite ready for this one. This is not my strong suit. These guys know that. That's one that we dodged and got a reasonable finish with that finish. I'm satisfied with that. I think we'll start turning up the heat next week.
Next week he goes to Dover. Last time, a win. Alan?
And on it is to the Monster Mile in Delaware's capital. Friday, 2:30 Eastern, Bud Pole qualifying on TNT. Saturday at 1 Eastern, the Stacker 200 presented by YJ Stinger. And next Sunday, 12:30 Eastern, round 2 in the chase for the NEXTEL Cup presented by the Principal Financial Group. Wonder where they'll be at the end of that one next Sunday. We'll find out together. As Kurt Busch sees the checkered flag and begins his chase for the NEXTEL Cup with a victory.